A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all-old-time radio.
This I believe. In December 1929, William H. Joyce, Jr. founded Joyce Incorporated, shoe manufacturers. The company had one employee and a capital of $500. Today, Joyce Incorporated has 4 factories in the United States and affiliates in 11 countries throughout the world. Perhaps even more remarkable than this material success is the fact that William H. Joyce has achieved it without ever losing sight of those values which have nothing to do with dollars and cents. This is what he believes.
Recently, my brother died at the age of 53, suddenly and unexpectedly. A rare, kindly person, a lively and stimulating addition to those who knew him. 2 months later, Peter, our sensitive, spiritual, remarkable son, died of a brain tumor before reaching 13. Why, if there is an order or purpose in life, should they be taken? By what set of understandable standards or fair planning or benign direction was Peter chosen for death so early? If there is a judgment day, which I was taught to believe, then that belief presupposes that God recognizes and keeps track of individuals. If so, what criteria did he use in taking the life of our son? If I persist in that belief, then I must require God to keep track of every act and deed, public and private, every thought and prayer by every person who ever lived, and then in some manner tabulate the score so that an individual judgment at some point with justice may be made. On the one hand, then, I ask this of God, but on the other, it requires of me a supreme act of faith in his ability to do what the finite mind is an impossibility. No combination of known brains can even sensibly discuss the means by which we might invent a system which would second by split second forever record and weigh the acts, deeds, and thoughts of all the people who will ever live, from the first man to the last man. So I must rule out this human possibility and resort to a faith in the Almighty. If I do, then I must accept without proof or an understandable blueprint other aspects requiring acts of faith. Let me then try to be consistent and reasonable. I cannot accept the idea that this marvelous world and its boundless mysteries are purely accidental. I cannot accept the order of the stars, the immensity of space, the mystery of a seed which can be stored for thousands of years apparently dead, later accurately remembering in fruition its true purpose and order. I cannot witness our great scientists unsuccessful in trying to discover the secret of green in a blade of grass. I cannot accept the unknown force called gravity that keeps us on this whirling sphere. I cannot accept its orderly course around the sun without also accepting the fact that in every conscious moment of life we do depend upon our faith in a divine order as a condition of life. So I will not question God's purpose in taking the life of Peter at his then age of 12 years and 6 months. If I do, I have to question his judgment in the death of a person twice his age, and those at 100, in fact, in death at all. I do believe, in being given my moment of conscious life, I have the opportunity to play my part, and I do most certainly believe I belong, my spirit belongs, to a divine order, not given me to weigh, blueprint, or describe, which is the order of the universe by his making, infinite in wonder, in grandeur, and in life. All mankind, being a member of this order, we also then become a part of its divinity and life everlasting.
That was the creed of William H. Joyce of San Marino, California. An active, devoted citizen, he served in 1950 and 51 as the ECA's Assistant Administrator for Production.
The Anchor Hawking Glass Corporation brings you Crime Photographer. Open the door, Richard. Open the door, Richard.
Hey, what's wrong with you, Mr. Marvin?
Huh?
There ain't no door to open. You're already inside.
Why, Ethelbert, haven't you heard that song?
You mean that is the name of a song?
Certainly. Haven't you heard it on the radio?
You know, Mr. Marvin, I never get a chance to listen to the radio. What I mostly hear is anchor hawking is...
That's right. Anchor Hawking. Glass Corporation is the world's largest makers of household glass. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Tony Marvin. Every week at this time, the Anchor Hawking Glass Corporation of Lancaster, Ohio, and its more than 10,000 employees bring you another adventure of Casey, crime photographer, ace cameraman who covers the crime news of a great city. Our adventure for tonight, 20-Minute Alibi. Late afternoon, in the office of the Acme Insurance Company. A telephone rings on the desk of Mr. Edward Phillips.
Acme Insurance, Phillips speaking.
Mr. Phillips?
Yes?
This is Mr. Prescott. Travis Prescott. I've got to talk to you about my life insurance policy.
Yes, Mr. Prescott.
I've been having trouble raising the money for the premium. How much more time have I got?
Well, I sent you a final notice sometime last week.
Yes, you did, but what'll happen if I can't meet the payment?
Why, after today, I'm afraid the policy will have to lapse, Mr. Prescott.
Lapse?
Yes. In other words, you won't be insured after today.
What time? What time is it now?
Why, 4:45.
And I have until midnight to pay the premium?
That's right, sir.
But if anything happened to me before, the policy is still good now, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
That's all I wanted to know.
Just a moment, Mr. Prescott. Prescott? What happened? Mr. Prescott? Mr. Prescott! Well, congratulations, Ethelbert. When did all this happen anyway?
Last night, Casey, the bartenders were just having their regular monthly meeting, and they elected me.
Oh, what do you know?
Of course, I still think the reason so many people come in here is because they like to hear Herman Chittison play the piano.
Boy, you got a point there.
Like my sister Edna says, quote, eat, drink, and be merry because tomorrow you don't have to work. That is, if it's Saturday night. Unquote. But you know Edna.
Yeah, I know Edna.
Hello, Ethelbert.
Good night. Oh, hello, Miss Williams.
Hi, Annie. Pull up a stool. You crazy. What do you have, huh?
Not now, Casey. We got a job.
What? Well, where? What's up?
Man got killed over at the Milton Hotel, shot in the head with his own revolver.
Suicide?
That's what Captain Logan's men seem to think. We better get over there right away.
Well, what's the rush?
Because I know you, Casey. If Logan says it's suicide, you're going to think it's murder.
Come on, Annie. We're going to have to shoulder our way through this. Gosh, there's enough cops in this hall to launch a battle.
Here, where are you going?
Press, Commissioner. Gentlemen of the press.
Her, too.
No, officer, I'm a lady.
It's all right, Dolan. They can come in.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Logan. Well, old boy, it's awfully decent of you to let me solve this case for you.
Now, don't start masterminding, Casey. This is a very simple job, and all you have to do is take pictures.
Oh? The murderer's confessed, has he?
The murderer has not confessed. There isn't any murderer, understand? This is a simple case of suicide, and let's keep it that way.
Okay. I didn't say anything.
Maybe not, but you're a thinker.
Well, one of us has to think. Now, Logan.
Oh, don't pay any attention to him, Captain. He just got up on the right side of bed this morning.
Well, he won't get up at all tomorrow if he doesn't watch his...
Well, come on. Where's the body, Captain?
Over here, behind the sofa, right next to the telephone stand.
Where you found him?
I didn't find it. Casey, my men found him.
What's his name?
Prescott. Travis Prescott.
You live here in this hotel?
No, he was a salesman, lived uptown, but used this room as a sort of downtown office.
Watch it, Logan.
What's the matter?
Just taking a picture. Don't get scared. Now, you can put your clodhoppers anywhere you want.
Thank you.
Say, what makes you think it's suicide, Logan?
Oh, just a wild hunch. Prescott was found with a gun in his hand and a bullet hole through his right temple. Powder burns on the face proved that the gun was fired at close range, and a neat little suicide note was found in the carriage of his typewriter. Is that enough of a hint, Mr. Casey?
No.
Then now let's speak to Mr. Phillips. Mr. Phillips.
Yes, Captain Logan.
Will you please tell this gentleman that Mr. Prescott called you up at 4:45 this afternoon, that he didn't have enough money to pay the premium on his life insurance policy, and that you heard him shoot himself while you were on the phone?
Now, wait a minute, Logan. You can't hear a man shoot himself. You got to see it.
Well, this is practically the same thing. Mr. Phillips was still on the wire when the shot was fired.
That doesn't mean anything. The murderer could have phonied up the whole setup to make it look like suicide.
Use your head, Casey. If you wanted a murder to look like suicide, would you kill a man while he was still on the phone?
He's got you there, partner.
Okay, Mastermind. You go to your church and I'll go to mine.
Now, just a second, Logan. Has anything in this room been moved since Prescott's body was discovered?
You know better than that. Not when my check man gets finished.
Then it's murder, my friend. Good old premeditated homicide.
What do you mean?
Look at the telephone, Logan. Didn't you say Mr. Phillips here heard the shot over the wire?
Well, I did hear.
Well, then if Mr. Prescott committed suicide, how did the receiver get back on the hook? Only one person could have hung up that phone after Prescott was dead, Logan, and that's the murderer.
Now, wait a minute, Casey. I thought of that, too. It's just probable that Prescott put it back himself.
Well, after he'd been shot through the head.
It's possible, isn't it? He could have staggered and dropped it back into place as he fell to the floor.
Sure. He could have played a violin concerto on the way down.
So will you shut up?
It doesn't make sense, Captain. Casey's right about this being murder, and you know it.
I don't know anything of the kind yet. Mr. Phillips, tell me, did you hear the phone click after the shot was fired?
Why, now that I think about it, Yes, I am sure I heard a click, as though the receiver had been placed back on the hook. Funny you're remembering it now. What do you mean by that? Nothing. Just passing the time of day until Captain Logan decides to start looking for some suspects.
Yeah, how about that, Captain? Doesn't this Mr. Prescott have any friends or relatives?
He's got a wife.
Yeah? Why isn't she here?
She probably will be any minute. I sent word to her just before you came in.
What was her reaction to the news, Captain?
I don't know. I wasn't the one who broke it to her. That sounds like her now.
Let's go, Miss Lady.
It's all right, Dolan. She can come in. We were expecting her.
Yes, sir.
Where is the officer? What have you done with him?
No. Just a minute, please.
Is he dead? Is he really dead? Tell me, how did it happen?
Please. Now, you got...
For the name of heaven, officer, why are you keeping me from him? Why don't you let me see him? Travis!
No. You mustn't go.
For Pete's sake, will you take her away from him?
No. I love him. I know how you feel, but you've got to pull yourself together now.
Let me stay with him just a little while. Don't you understand? I love him more than anything in the world.
I'm terribly sorry. I know it's a shock to you.
It's all right. Only I can't understand why anybody would want it. Who killed him, officer? Who killed him?
Why, I don't know. I'm not entirely sure he was killed.
Captain Logan thinks he might have committed suicide.
Oh, but that's ridiculous. He had everything to live for. He told me so this afternoon.
You saw your husband this afternoon, Mrs. Prescott?
Husband?
Yes. Aren't you his wife?
Why, no. I'm Evelyn Warner. I'm Mr. Prescott's secretary.
Day after tomorrow is Washington's birthday, and I'm sure you'll want to observe at least one good old tradition. So how about serving a delicious home-baked cherry pie for dinner? You'll find mouth-watering recipes in any good cookbook. But to make those recipes turn out right, to ensure flaky crust, evenly and lightly browned with no danger of scorching, be sure to use a Fire King oven glass pie plate. You see, Fire King oven glass absorbs oven heat so uniformly that it practically ensures baking results. Now, you'll find a wide selection of Fire King oven glass at your favorite chain, variety, hardware, and department stores, separate pie plates in different sizes, as well as casseroles with pie plate covers, and smaller pieces for baking individual deep dish cherry pies. Fire King oven glass prices are unbelievably low, and each piece is guaranteed for 2 years against oven breakage. Ask for Fire King oven glass by name, another product of Anchor Hocking. A great name in glass.
You've got your nerve, Casey, walking right up to Mrs. Prescott's apartment and ringing the bell. What do you expect to find out from her anyway?
Somebody's coming.
Yes?
Excuse me. I thought this was Mrs. Prescott's apartment.
It is. I'm her father. Lane is my name.
How do you do, Mr. Lane? Is Mrs. Prescott in?
Yes, but if you're a reporter...
We won't stay very long, Mr. Lane. We just want to ask a few questions.
Well, I appreciate that it's your job, of course, but really we've been hounded by so many reporters this evening. Can't you come back at it some other time instead of bothering Mrs. Prescott again tonight? She's been through so much.
We'll miss the morning edition.
Yes, I know, but couldn't I answer your question for you? After all, the police have been here, and the whole terrible shock of Mr. Prescott's death.
It's all right, Father. You can let them in.
But, Helen, I'm sure
It's all right, Father. What's the use of pretending I'm upset about Travis's death? Everybody knows how he's treated me.
Helen, I think it's a mistake.
Oh, come in, won't you? Let's get these press interviews over once and for all.
Well, we'll make this a short one, Mrs. Prescott.
Thank you.
Helen, I think you're giving these people the wrong impression.
What's the good of keeping up appearances? It's all over now. Once I can really act the way I feel.
You sound as if you were almost glad your husband is dead, Mrs. Prescott.
Don't say that. I'm not glad. But I'm not sorry either. Yeah, I've been hurt so much these past few years. I'm just sort of numb about it. Does that seem very cold to you? Well, frankly, a little. Well, maybe it is. Then you didn't know Travis. You didn't know the pain or the heartache he could bring to those who tried to love him.
He was a scoundrel. Really he was. I hate to say so now, but he treated Mrs. Prescott abominably when he was alive.
In what way, Mr. Lane?
In every way. He drank, gambled, spent my daughter's money.
Spent it on other women. Women like that secretary of his.
Oh, you know about her?
Yes. She wasn't the only one. A little fool. He didn't care any more about her than he did about me. You think she might have killed him? If she was in love with him. Anybody who was in love with him might have killed him.
Including you?
I wasn't in love with him.
Well, it doesn't really matter very much. The police think he committed suicide.
Who, Travis? Not in a million years.
My father's right. Travis wouldn't take his own life. He was much too fond of living. Then you think that he was murdered? I'm sure of it.
By whom? Any ideas?
That's something for the police to figure out.
Say, look, try to remember, will you? After all, you're the doorman here. You ought to know what time Mrs. Prescott came home this afternoon.
Well, I do remember, but I don't know that I can pass that information along to you. I've already passed it along to the police.
But we're practically policemen. Show me your press badge, Casey.
And will you stay off my side? We're confusing the guy.
I'm not confused. I know when Mrs. Prescott came home.
Oh, yeah? When?
About 5:15.
5:15, huh? That's just a half hour after her husband was killed.
You could have done it, Casey. Only takes about 20 minutes to get here from the Milton Hotel. 25 at the outside if she came right over.
That's just what I was thinking. Say, tell me, Mac, did she come home in a cab?
Yes, I believe she did.
Alone, or was she with her father?
Oh, no. She wasn't with her father. Mr. Lane came home at least half hour earlier.
About 5:45.
No, just about. Maybe a few minutes before.
Well, that lets him out, but it doesn't make it any too cozy for her. Well, thanks for the tip, old man. Here's one for you.
Much obliged to you, sir.
Come on, Annie. We got work to do.
Well, wait a minute. You don't have to yank me off my feet. Where are we going?
Back to the car first.
Gee.
Then we're going to drive down to... Hey, wait a minute.
What's the matter?
Quick. Get up against the side of the building. Got a flash of that dame in the lobby. She's coming out.
What dame? Who's coming out?
Mrs. Prescott. There she is now. Gosh, she's dolled up.
A nice time for her to be gadding about. Where do you suppose she's going?
Keep your eye on her, Annie. You may have to tail her.
Look. Getting into that parked car in the corner.
For Pete's sake, get ready, kid. We're going to follow that car.
Why? Whose is it?
Don't you recognize the guy behind the wheel? That's Mr. Phillips, the insurance agent.
Casey, we'll both be killed if you keep driving this way.
Don't worry, Annie. I've still got 2 wheels on the ground.
Well, let one of the others down anyway.
Right, we're coming down for a landing now. Stopping up ahead.
I wonder why. Everything looks closed up around here. Where are we?
Downtown. Near River Street. These are all office buildings.
Wait. They're going inside that gray one on the corner.
Well, don't give them a chance to get away. Come on, Annie. We got to find out what they're up to.
Not so fast, Casey. I got high heels on.
No time to call attention to your legs. We're in a hurry.
Oh, don't be so manly. We'll catch up with them.
If we don't get a move on.
Well, there they are. Going in that side door off the lobby, see?
I hope they're not trying to give us a slip. That's what I hope.
No, it looks like some sort of office on the first floor.
Hey, it is an office. Acme Insurance Company. I'm going to find out what they're up to.
Easy now. Mr. Phillips might be back there with a gun.
Come on, we'll take a chance.
Don't tell me you're going to hold my hand.
Just across the threshold. There. Now you're on your own. Hey, what's that?
Take it easy, Casey.
Logan, what?
Captain Logan.
What are you doing here?
Minding my own business? What are you doing?
Now, look, Logan, don't be like that. We've been following that Phillips guy and Mrs. Prescott. They came in here a second ago. Didn't you see them?
Yes, I saw them. I sent for them.
You what?
I sent for them, Miss Williams.
Well, it's about time you got wise to yourself, Logan. Are they in this thing together?
Did they cook up some kind of scheme to kill Prescott and collect his insurance?
Well, not exactly.
Not exactly. Well, what do you mean? Come on, give. What have you got on them?
I just asked them to come down here so I could have a look at Mr. Prescott's insurance policy.
Aha! Good boy, Logan. That dame is suspect number one on my list.
Mine, too. She had motive and an opportunity to commit the crime.
When? Tell me about it.
At 4:45, when Travis Prescott was murdered, too. And she didn't get back to her apartment until 1/2 an hour later.
So you figure she was with her husband at the time of his death, don't you? Well, as a matter of fact, she wasn't.
Oh.
She's got an alibi, I suppose.
You said it, Casey, an airtight one. At 4:45, she was at a bridge party uptown with over a dozen witnesses, so she couldn't have killed her husband.
No, I guess not.
Then who did?
I don't know yet. I've still got an idea it was suicide, remember?
Yeah, I remember. Suicide or not, Logan, if you let that woman put one over on you, you're a sap. She has everything to gain by her husband's death, including that nice fat insurance policy.
Well, the policy may be fat, but it won't do her any good.
Why not?
Because she's not the beneficiary. Mr. Prescott left the money to Evelyn Warner, his secretary.
What do you want, Mr. Casey?
Well, I'll tell you, Miss Warner, if you'll just take your foot away from the door and let us come in.
No. Please, I'm awfully busy right now. Can't you two come back some other time?
And find you gone?
No, of course not. What makes you think I was going anywhere? Don't you dare come in here.
Why? What are you hiding?
Nothing.
Nothing but a half-packed suitcase. I can see that from here.
Go away.
I will in a minute, Miss Warner. Come on in, Annie.
Like you are.
Big idea, sister. But you know it's bad news to run away at a time like this. It's practically an admission of guilt.
I don't care what it is.
You mean you killed Mr. Prescott?
No.
According to what Logan tells me, you were at the office with him this afternoon.
Of course I was. I was his secretary, wasn't I? I was there until 4 o'clock.
And where were you after 4 o'clock?
Mr. Prescott sent me out on an errand.
And why are you so anxious to get away now?
Because I know what'll happen. They'll send me to the chair for something I didn't do.
If you didn't do it, you got nothing to worry about, Miss Warner.
But all the evidence points to me, the insurance policy, the fact that I worked for him, even the fact that I was in love with him.
There's only one fact that really counts. Can you prove you were not with Mr. Prescott at 4:45 this afternoon?
No. The only man who could prove it for me won't help me.
Who's that?
Mrs. Prescott's father, Mr. Lane. He knows I wasn't at the office at 4:45 this afternoon, but he'll never tell the police that.
Why not?
Because he hates me. I'm sure he does. Any man would hate me for breaking up his daughter's marriage.
But he wouldn't send you to the chair for it. Besides, Mr. Lane doesn't strike me as the kind of a guy who'd blame you for what happened.
He would. I know he would. I can't take a chance.
You can't take a chance because you killed Travis Prescott.
No!
You'll have a hard time convincing him.
Stand back.
Hey, what are you
Look
doing
out,
there with that?
He's got a gun.
Stand back, both of you. I know how to use it, and I will if you get in my way.
Don't be an idiot. You can't get away with this.
We'll see about that. Close my bag. Quick! Now, put it on the floor and stand back.
You're a chump to walk out of here with that gun in your hand.
I'm not asking your advice, Mr. Casey. Just don't move a muscle till I'm outside the door. Stand just where you are.
I'll take that gun if you please.
Mr. Lane!
What's the meaning of this, Miss Warner? I was just about to ring your bell.
Hold her, Mr. Lane. I'll take care of that gun.
Let me go, you stupid fool. Let go of me.
Thank you, Miss Warner. You might hurt somebody with that thing.
What's the matter here? What has she done?
Plenty, Mr. Lane. Murdered your son-in-law and tried to make it look like suicide. She just gave us a cock-and-bull story about you being able to fix her up with an alibi.
I don't understand. Didn't Mr. Prescott die at 4:45 this afternoon?
That's right.
Then how could Miss Warner have killed him?
Huh? What do you mean?
Well, Miss Warner dropped some mail off for me at the apartment this afternoon. I was with her at almost exactly 4:45.
Hey, Casey, you've been sitting there for the last 15 minutes without opening your mouth. What's the matter with him, Miss Williams?
To put it in simple language, Ethelbert, Casey is what we might call stuck.
Does that expression on your face, Casey, mean that you're thinking?
Yeah. Give me another cup of that coffee, Ethelbert. Awful stuff.
Walter, bring Casey another coffee. I told you it was awful. You know Walter can't make coffee.
You're telling me. Annie, I give up. As far as I can make out, nobody was at Mr. Prescott's office at 5:15 this afternoon.
Well, at least Mr. Prescott was there.
I'm beginning to wonder. Boy, if he was alive, he'd probably have an alibi, too.
Maybe Logan was right. Maybe it was suicide.
Certainly beginning to look that way. Only there's something awful fishy about that phone call.
You think Mr. Phillips is lying?
I don't know. He's got plenty of witnesses from his office. But there might have been some shenanigans at the other end of the line. Oh, say, Ethelbert, if that's for me, you know what to tell him.
Right, Casey. You know me. Excuse me, folks. Hello, Blue Note, Ethelbert speaking.
Deposit 5 cents, please.
Yeah, wait, I'll have to get... Hey, wait a minute. I just picked up the phone.
If you'll give me your name and address, we'll return your nickel.
But I didn't put in a nickel.
You should deposit 5 cents before you dial. Please hang up and dial again.
Hey, look, lady. Hello? Hello? Goodbye. Must have been a wrong number. Blue Note, Ethelbert speaking.
Wrong number. Excuse it, please.
I thought so. Oh, dear, these telephone operators. I have more trouble.
Hey, wait a minute, Ethelbert. You know, wait a minute. Shoot, you give me a hunch.
Huh?
That telephone operator, Annie. That's who I want to talk to. Come on.
Where are we going?
Back to the Hotel Milton. I want to talk to the operator at the switchboard.
Milton Hotel. Just a moment, please. Now, what were you saying, Mr. Casey?
Well, we wanted to have a look at the call sheet, miss. You keep a record of all outgoing calls, don't you?
That's right. Are you from the telephone company?
No, not exactly. But, look, if you'll do this little job for us, we can get your pictures in the paper.
He's got his camera and everything.
Yeah, here it is.
Well, what do you want to know?
Oh, just how many calls Mr. Prescott made from his room this afternoon between 4:30 and 5 o'clock?
4:30 and 5 o'clock.
That's it. Did he make any other calls besides the one to the Acme Insurance Company?
Between 4:30 and 5 o'clock?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny. According to your sheet, Mr. Prescott didn't use the phone at all during that time. Last call he made was at 4 o'clock.
Let me see that, will you?
Sure. Casey, what's it mean?
It means we're dealing with a pretty slick murderer. That phone call Mr. Phillips got wasn't made from this hotel.
So?
What's more, Prescott didn't even make it. His voice was impersonated by somebody else's after the murder was committed.
Yes, but
Here, hold on to this sheet, Annie.
Okay.
We've got to get in touch with Logan right away. Operator, will you call headquarters, please? Hey, who turned off those lights?
I don't know, but somebody stepped into this room, Casey. I saw the door close just as... Oh, Casey, help me! Somebody grabbed the call sheet out of my hand. He's got the list of calls.
Don't worry, I've got him. Quick, turn on the lights while I hold him down.
I'll find the switch, Mr. Casey.
Now we'll see who murdered Travis Prescott.
Mr. Lane.
All right, Mr. Casey. I will try to get away. Go ahead and call the police.
Okay, Mr. Lane. So you killed your son-in-law?
Yes. I had every reason in the world for killing him. After the way he treated my daughter, he didn't deserve to live. I made up my mind to kill him when he tried to borrow money from me to meet his insurance policy. Policy that would only benefit that secretary.
After you shot Prescott, you went back to your apartment and called up Mr. Phillips, the insurance man. You impersonated your son-in-law's voice, and while Mr. Phillips was still on the wire, you fired a shot for him to hear over the phone.
Yes. I tried to make it look as if Prescott had died at 4:45. Because I was already at home at that time. With a perfect alibi.
When did you kill Prescott, Mr. Lane?
At exactly 25 minutes after 4.
That gave you a perfect alibi, all right. The only trouble is it gave everybody else one, too. Okay, Annie, call up Logan. Back
Back in the 1920s, the average grocery carried only a few hundred items. Today, big food markets sell literally thousands of different products, different grades, and different brands. If it weren't for glass containers, marketing would indeed be a very perplexing problem. But thanks to transparent glass, marketing is not only simple and easy, but it's also fascinating. For glass lets you see exactly what you buy before you buy it. It lets you decide immediately whether the product is what you want or not. Yes, the colorful array of gleaming glass-packed foods on your market shelves is exciting and stimulating. It makes shopping a pleasure. And when you're in a hurry, when you aren't sure what to buy, what brand, what quality, what size, play safe and buy foods packed in crystal-clear, sanitary Anchor glass containers, protected by tamper-proof Anchor vacuum caps. Both products of Anchor Hocking. A great name in glass.
Well, you see, Ethelbert, it was a perfect alibi.
I don't see how it's so perfect if the guy got caught.
Well, he wouldn't have been caught if it hadn't been for our man Casey.
Oh, I don't know about that, Annie. Logan was onto that call sheet long before I was. He had a photostatic copy of it the whole time.
Well, then why didn't he do something with it? If this Lane guy hadn't followed you to the hotel and made that pass in the dark, he'd have been a free man.
Oh, not necessarily. No, Logan was playing the whole thing cozy, letting it pass for suicide and keeping an eye on all the suspects all the time.
Well, if I ever commit a murder, I'm not going to make it fancy.
Oh, why not?
Well, you see what happened to this Lane guy. He should have known you can't commit a murder and make it look like suicide.
Why?
Because any man that commits a murder is committing suicide at the same time.
Crime Photographer, starring Stott Cotsworth as Casey, is brought to you each Thursday by the Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation, makers of Fire King oven glass, Anchor glass containers, Anchor caps and closures. All products of the Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation, a great name in glass. Photographer is directed by John Deep. Tonight's episode was written by Robert Sloan. The original music was by Archie Blyer, and the program features Miss Leslie Woods as Anne and John Gibson as Ethelbert. Thursday night on CBS is the biggest show in town, so stay tuned for exciting dramatizations on Reader's Digest Radio Edition, which follows immediately over most of these stations. If you are a young woman between the ages of 18 and 35, here's a way in which you can serve yourself and your nation. America needs student nurses to study for a high-paid professional career. Ask your local hospital for complete information. This is Tony Marvin saying goodnight for the Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation, the world's largest makers of household glass. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
This, I believe. William Scheide is a musician and musicologist. He is best known as the founder and director of the Bach Area Group, which has introduced to the public many of the little-known but extraordinarily beautiful works of Johann Sebastian Bach. The Area Group started as an informal weekly gathering of musicians at Mr. Scheide's home. It now includes some of the world's most distinguished soloists. and has won wide popular and critical acclaim. Here are some of William Scheide's beliefs in the broader harmonies of human life.
If the sun and moon should doubt, they'd immediately go out. So said William Blake, the English poet. I well remember how puzzled this used to make me. I assumed that statements of doubts and beliefs should have the kind of formality and logic that one expects in church. But I soon enough noticed that when people were questioned about their beliefs, their replies bore no direct relation to their essential characters. Thereupon I decided that such verbal statements were largely irrelevant in judging anyone. On the other hand, the love of music, which has followed me since earliest childhood, has made me sensitive to values that cannot be expressed in language. When Bach set to music the words Credo and Unum Deum, I believe in one God, he did not express a pious ideal or a devout or romantic aspiration. The here and now poured out of him. What inspired him was simply the basic material of his life. That, he recognized, was his belief, and that, I think, is any man's belief, if the word is to have any actual substance that can be grasped. By and large, I cannot tell you what I believe, and for that I am sorry, since most people know nothing about me. My life as a whole, all that which I am, that is what I believe. Not that my conscience rests easy with all my beliefs. I do not like my involvement with the sordidness and boredom that seems part of almost everyone's lot, as well as those unforeseen cruelties that spring out of even the most trivial incidents. Yet in as far as these things are part of me, and they claim a place in my present beliefs. In regard to them, I am ashamed and hope to do better. Yet I am sure this is what Blake had in mind in that curious epigram I quoted. He meant that belief is the very stuff of life itself, and that without it, death results. But I will mention something else, something to which I think I should aspire, since I am sure I have not attained it. I believe that I ought to love my enemies. By enemies, I mean those who I think have hurt or interfered with me in any way. I believe that all social life is a series of collisions of personalities. These bring in their wake collisions of ideas, of values, of beliefs. Personalities feel themselves endangered, and the instinct of self-preservation responds with hatred. Yet the power of love, by which life expresses its solidarity in the universe, must be able to transcend these problems, or society crumbles into anarchy. I believe that a democratic society must be ultimately founded on love for enemies, real and fancied enemies, who daily and inevitably trample our personalities and threaten to destroy our inmost beliefs, that is, our essential natures. I believe also that a love for enemies, as I conceive it, is impossible without that vague but deep thing which is usually called belief in God. Without this, it seems to me that the world would be nothing but a host of idiots, each screaming, I am right, you are wrong. Belief in an ultimate absolute makes love and tolerance possible in a group of creatures seeing through a glass darkly. Thus, these two facets of my belief form the irreconcilable tensions of a paradox. My faith is both that which I am and that which I feel I ought to be. It represents the energy, sometimes more, sometimes less, with which I cling to life, but which also confers the apprehension of a higher and more perfect life. When I am at my best, I work on the problem of bringing this higher life to realization.
They're the creed of William H. Scheide, founder and director of the Bach Aria Group. He has taught music at Cornell University, as well as presenting it on the concert stage.
Does not pay.
So there you have it, Christy, old man. Simple, neat, and extremely profitable.
I still don't see how we'll get any cash out of it if the sucker holds the money.
I dislike that word, Christy. It betrays a contempt for humanity. Anyone operating as we shall must never be contemptuous of the victim. Such an attitude leads to mistakes.
Oh, sorry, Professor. I see what you mean.
As for the cash, leave that to me. I have, shall we say, sticky fingers, particularly where money is concerned. All you have to do is to follow instructions, report to me regularly, and above all, be the perfect purveyor of edibles. In other words, the complete grocery storekeeper.
In the interest of good citizenship and law enforcement, we present Crime Does Not Pay, based on the famous Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer series of short subjects. In just a moment, you'll hear The Professor Pulls a Switch, starring John Loder. Now, Crime Does Not Pay, starring John Loder as Professor Carter Forsyth in The Professor Pulls a Switch. Of all the kinds and types of crime which occur each day, perhaps the type most worthy of our absolute contempt is that which preys upon the hopes and ambitions of hard-working, plain people. Such crime is the province of a smooth, apparently well-educated party known at the time of this story as Professor Carter Forsyth. The professor looked and dressed his part. He knew and used the proper lingo. And the professor had quite an operation, as he explained it in his headquarters to Al Christie.
This is my active file, Christie. As you can see, I do not confine my operations to one district at a time.
You really got it set up, Professor.
I'm rather proud of it. Here I sit at the center, and throughout the city more than a dozen men are working for me. But since all of them achieve a more than fair profit, I have no experience with the kind of internal quarreling that unfortunately occurs in widespread organizations.
And all of them are grocery stores. Always grocery stores, Professor?
All people must eat. Therefore, the well-run grocery attracts the patronage of almost everyone in a given neighborhood from time to time. Gradually, the regular customers begin to gossip with the storekeeper. Much can be learned that way, and much money can eventually be garnered. Of course, the original purchase price of the store must be added to the investment of time and skill, but it pays off, Christie, it pays off.
You sure talk a lot, Professor, but you get to the point after a while.
Yes, don't I? And the point at the moment is that I have an excellent location for you. This is the file on that store. You have come to me with excellent references, even though you are having a hard time. I am particularly pleased that your wife is urging you to give up petty rackets and settle in some decent business. She need know nothing of the true nature of our operation, and both she and the children will give you an excellent front.
So far, you're making a lot of sense. Now what?
You will be the owner of this store. You will conduct your business properly and honestly. You will strike up friendships. You will learn who is the wealthiest person in the neighborhood, and you will concentrate on him. At the proper moment, you will advise me, and I will visit you while you are entertaining your new friend with choice wine and other delicacies. I will deign to offer to help your friend at a price. After that,
we take him, and it'll be months before he knows the difference.
So there you have it, Christie, old man. Simple, neat, and extremely profitable.
Mrs. Lanza, it's a pleasure to wait on a customer like you.
Oh, I buy such a little, Mr. Christie. It's hardly worth your time and attention.
Well, I can't say if all our customers were like you, my wife and I would be very happy.
You mean customers can give you trouble?
Can they give trouble? I shouldn't say this, but take that Mrs. Pingatore.
Oh, that one, I know her. Her husband, he has a few dollars. She owns the world.
I see you know her. Nothing is ever right. The brand she wants, I don't carry. I give her the best. Never good enough. Complaints, complaints, complaints.
Why she puts on airs, huh? My Mio, he can buy and sell her Nicholas 3 times over.
Is that so? Well, now, who would have thought it?
Oh, we have saved, Mr. Christie. We cut a corner here, we put a little away there. Oh, yes, we have saved. But we do not change our habits.
I see. You know, Mrs. Lambs, I'd like to meet your husband sometime.
Why not? I think he will like you. Maybe we spend an evening together, huh?
Yeah, why not?
Oh, Al, I was wondering. Oh, Mrs. Lanza, how are you? Oh, just fine, Mrs. Christie. I was just saying with your husband, we maybe spend the evening together sometime, huh?
Yeah, I was thinking, Bertha, that bottle of Oviedo we've been saving.
Oh, why not? Well, I'd like that, Mrs. Lanza. We have so few friends here since we moved.
Oh, the friends will come. They've not been here so very long. You'll see. The friends will come. And we'll get together soon, yes?
Yes?
Professor?
That is correct.
This is
is Al Christie, Professor. Progress report.
Excellent. Proceed.
That Lanza family I told you about, Neo and Anna Lanza?
Yes, you told me.
They're ripe for picking.
Very good. Then you are friendly.
Yeah, bosom pals.
And your wife?
The old lady thinks I'm really going straight. She's loving it. Even wants to join the Parent Teachers Association.
Fine. Now, when is your next meeting with the Lanzas?
Tonight. Wine, chestnuts, talk, a cinch. I got his wife to speak up, Professor. They got about $7,000 in the savings bank.
I shall be there this evening, Christie. You may count on it.
More wine, Mio? Why not? It's excellent.
A man who sells the best groceries, he likes the best of everything, no? Well, that's a new quality in my husband, I must say.
Oh, excuse me, the door. Help yourselves, folks. That's what the bottle is there.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Christie.
He's a fine man, your husband. And a good judge of wine.
Oh, thank you. Just like you don't know, Mr. Christie. Every woman knows the ability of her man.
Oh, sure. Here's a real surprise. May I present my wife and Mr. and Mrs. Lanza, Professor Forsythe.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening. Oh, now, please don't let me disturb you. I was in the neighborhood, and as I have some news for Mr. Christie, I thought telling it in person would be pleasanter than by telephone.
Oh, you mean about Billy? You remember, Bertha, I told you the professor was trying to pull a few wires, get him a job?
Oh, yes, of course. I recognize the name. Oh, please sit down, Professor.
Thank you, I will for a moment.
A glass of wine, sir? It's excellent. You take my word, huh?
Please do, sir. And a cookie?
Thank you again. Your health, ladies and gentlemen, and success to Cousin Bill in his new job.
Oh, you got it for him. Thanks a million, Professor.
No trouble at all. The job opened up. My connection advised me the proper payments were made at once, and on Monday, Bill starts at $8,000 a year.
Yeah, you hear that, Bertha? $1,000 a year.
Well, I'm satisfied with what we got now.
Such a salary. Oh, much money could be saved.
Oh, sure, that is so. You know, I would... Oh, no, it's too much to ask. Yeah, ask away, Mio. The professor won't mind.
Why, of course not, Mr. Lanza. As Alfred said, ask away.
Well, it would be possible... that another such a job might open up?
Oh, such things are always possible. One never knows. Sometimes it occurs within a few days. Other times it takes months.
And, please, what is the work?
Well, Cousin Bill is an inspector in the sanitation department.
Oh, that needs a special training.
Well, not that job. There are others, not only in the city government. May I ask what you do, Mr. Lanza?
Oh, sure. I manage a big shoe place. It's called the Cobbler Shop. It's in a big building downtown.
Then you are experienced in management.
Sure, that's right.
And you make by the year?
Anna, how much is $70 each week? It's about $3,500 a year.
Oh, yes.
But surely, Mr. Lanza, a man of your obvious abilities is worth more, much more.
Bigger jobs are hard to find.
That's right. Oh, but the professor could do it, couldn't you, Professor?
Perhaps. It may take time, but it might be done. I have connections in many fields.
And this would cost...
Oh, for a job in the bracket we have in mind, the fees run high, usually in 4 figures. Around 5,000.
Anna, what do you say?
Maybe I do not know. As you wish, Mio.
Let us try, eh? Is it not always necessary for accepting the job? Yes, Professor?
Oh, not always.
All right. You will try for me.
Oh, for a friend of Alfred's, I'm always happy to try. And it has been my experience that a friend is very often closer than a cousin.
Yes, in this case, you're absolutely right.
Very well, then. Of course, there are certain formalities.
For instance, what?
The money, in cash, $100 bills, must be handy and must be prepared in a certain way.
Why?
So that the paymaster, so-called, can accomplish his distribution with the least possible difficulty.
Oh, I get it. Under-the-counter stuff.
Correct. Therefore, it is necessary that I check the wrapping of the cash.
All right. You tell me. I get it. I show it to you.
Very well. But let the details go for now. This is a social gathering. Shall we drink to a successful conclusion of this little arrangement?
Honest, Professor, when you told him about the brown paper and the string, I almost died. You sure played him pretty.
Experience, Christy, experience. You think Lanza's impressed with me?
Oh, with the cape and the cane and the black hat, you're a professor to the hilt. At least the way Mio Lanza believes a professor is.
Excellent, excellent. The choice of costume is important. Here it comes, Christy. Follow my lead. Oh, Mr. Lanza, we'd almost given you up.
Yeah, sure. I come as fast as I can. Here, you see. Here's your $5,000. All in a $100 bill. And I wrapped it carefully in the brown paper once around. That's all right, huh?
Perfect, Mr. Lanza.
You won't count it, huh? I open it.
Oh, as one gentleman to another, I trust you, Mr. Lanza. I wished only to be certain the package was properly prepared. Oh, 1,000 pardons, my cape on the counter.
Oh, that's all right.
There we are, your package, sir.
You don't want to haul it yourself.
Oh, why should I?
Well, I mean, but for the bride.
Oh, a harsh word that. We'll overlook it. No, you will keep the money until I call for it.
Maybe Alfred, he hold it, huh?
Me? Why? The professor trusts you, Mio.
Well, all right. If you say so, it's all right. Like it is. In the packages are going to stay until you call it.
Excellent. And now perhaps you would like to put it in a safe place at home.
Sure. It's a lot of money. I work a long time to save this money. Now I'm going to invest it in a fine job. Thank you, Alfred. Thank you, Professor. I'm going to have it ready all the time so that when you call me, goodbye.
Yep. Now what, Professor?
Open this package, Christy.
Huh? Oh, yeah, sure.
Hey, Professor, this is Mio's dough. And he has cut newspapers wrapped exactly like this. When my cape fell on the counter, remember?
Oh, that's dope. The poor old dope sitting on a package of newspapers. The old handkerchief.
Yeah, exactly. And months before it will be discovered. In the meantime, we shall have many more victims.
Oh, brother, what a switch. What a switch.
Yes, Christy. You might put it, the professor pulls a switch. A $5,000 switch. Who's the next victim, Christy, and where and when?
In just a moment, Crime Does Not Pay will continue with The Professor Pulls a Switch. Now we continue with Crime Does Not Pay, starring John Loder as Professor Carter Forsyth in The Professor Pulls a Switch. The months rolled by. The professor's share of Mio Lanza's hard-earned savings was gone, as was Al Christie. Other victims had come into the grocery store. The same trick had been worked, and all went away with their brown parcels of newspaper cut to the size of $100 bills, clutched nervously in their hands. Now time was running out. The professor knew this. Al was not very aware of it. Mio Lanza and Anna let their patients wear very thin. The professor and Al were alone in the grocery store one morning.
You're doing beautifully, Christy. I'm thinking of opening a branch office upstate. And perhaps you are the man to supervise it for me.
Well, thanks, Professor. Tell the truth, I'll be kind of glad to stop selling coffee and spaghetti as a thrust.
Hey, Professor, we've been looking for you.
Yes, sir. It's 5 months now, and you get no job from my husband.
Mrs. Lanza, I said when we first met it might take time.
Almost half a year now. Is it too long?
Yes.
Sure, my money's to stay in the package. We don't sleep at night. There's too much money in the house, and there's no interest like in a bank.
Here, we bring him package. We ask you to take it and find for my husband a job.
Getting a little frayed around the edges, isn't it?
My friends, I was just this moment explaining to Mr. Christie I have a most important appointment downtown on your business, Mr. Lanza. So if you will excuse me, if you'll all forgive me, I can barely make it now. I'll see you again presently with good news, I trust.
You know something? All at once, I don't like this man. Mio, I am very glad now you hold the money yourself.
You sure of your friend, Alfred, huh?
As sure as I am of myself.
All right, good. Then maybe in a few days, it's a job, huh?
Meantime, we put some clean paper on the money, so all will be ready. Yes, Alfred? Mio, this is no money. It's just a newspaper.
Oh, Why, it's not possible. You must be nuts or something.
$5,000. It's so hard to save, and now it's all gone.
Alfred, your friend is a crook.
No, you're very wrong here. We're fighting.
Right, the Lancers think the professor is a crook.
Some way, I don't know how, but some way he gets our money.
I remember. I wasn't standing here. Here's the check. There's a fall on the package.
Oh.
He changed the package. Look, I know it's tough, but you can't prove anything. And you, my friend, you are in this. I know. You say, too, I must hold the money. You do not want to hold it. Like the professor, you do not. You are a thief, a thief. You put on a knife. It's a cheese knife. It's good and sharp. Alfred, you make the one move. It will be your own knife. I cut you. Quick, Anna. You run for the police.
Yes.
We arrest my friend Alfred. We find out who is the thief. Who steal the money so hard to save.
Alfred Christie, you're charged with larceny. How do you plead?
Guilty, Your Honor.
Have you anything to say before sentence is pronounced?
Nothing, Your Honor. I told the district attorney I have nothing to say. I switched the packages, that's all.
Very well. I know that it's accepted practice in some cases to allow a prisoner to plead guilty to a lesser charge in order to avoid the time and trouble and expense of a long trial. However, I can think of few crimes more reprehensible than the one to which you've just admitted guilt. Swindling an honest man of his life savings. With this in mind, I sentence you to the limit the law allows. 5 to 10 years in state prison. That's all.
And what happens to me, Your Honor? And the kid while he's in jail? Why is my husband a victim while a man who was behind him goes free? Why?
That woman removed.
Now, don't, Bert. You'll only get in trouble.
I don't care. They told the book at you. But what about the professor? Where is he? Why haven't
Just
you
a moment, madam. Are you Mrs. Christie?
I am, Your Honor.
Do you know something about this professor that your husband has refused to tell?
I know him. Professor Carter Forsythe. With his ways and his smiles. And all the while he's a thief and a maker of thieves.
Well, please control yourself, madam. You can't help your husband by this scheme, but you can possibly help the state. I direct that the district attorney and the police question you at once, and if possible, that your testimony be given to the grand jury. That's all. Take them both away.
Good evening, Mrs. Christie.
Oh, good evening, Professor Forsythe.
May I come in?
You are in, Professor.
Yes, I seem to be. Are the children asleep?
The one I could afford to keep with me is. The other two relatives at home.
I see. I understand your bitterness, Mrs. Christie. It has been my experience, however, that bitterness such as yours is sweetened invariably by the sight and the possession of pieces of green and black paper, such as these.
That's a lot of money.
Your husband's due share of my enterprise to date.
What do you want for that?
Why do you interpret my motives so crassly, madam? As I said, this is your husband's share
Your
of my...
kind doesn't give up that kind of dough just to play square. Let's have it. What do you want?
I've learned in my time that memory can be a convenient attribute. Memory has strange lapses at times, and I believe that your memory is due for an exhibition tomorrow before the grand jury.
Oh, in other words, you're buying my silence, Professor.
Again, madam, you're very blunt. Let us say I am ensuring that certain details which you hinted at in a certain courtroom during a, to say the least, injudicious outburst will flee your memory tomorrow morning.
Save the talk, Professor, and the money.
Surely you will listen to reason, Mrs. Christie, a large sum of reason.
You won't get Al out of jail. And I'd like to see you there on visiting days, too. And so would the Lancers and a lot of other decent
You're
folks.
very determined, madam. A pity. A stubborn woman is usually a foolish woman.
What do you mean by that crap?
It may interest you to know, madam, that I acquired my sobriquet of professor while I was a magician of no little repute.
Stay away from me.
That reputation was based principally on my knowledge of sleight of hand, on my very skillful hands, on my very powerful hands, Mrs. Christie. Let us not be noisy and vulgar about this, Mrs. Christie. It's really too bad you were such an emotional woman, Mrs. Christie. The grand jury will miss you, madam. One moment, please. I asked you to wait. Christie.
Let me in. Shut the door, Professor.
Aren't you out early, Christie?
I'm out. Good behavior.
In a matter of months, on a sentence of 5 to 10 years? Oh, there must be new rules.
Yeah. And maybe I made them.
Christie, surely you haven't been foolhardy enough to break jail.
Maybe. Maybe a couple other things, too.
Interesting. Care to cite any examples?
Yeah. Maybe I got told by the folks taking care of my kid that my wife is dead.
Oh, I heard something to that effect. A pity. A youngish woman, too.
Yeah. And a woman who stood for her no-good husband and tried to make him into something decent for a long time. She deserves something better than me, or dying the way she did. And maybe she shouldn't be just a name in a police file marked Murders Unsolved.
A long speech for you.
Maybe I learned that from you, Professor.
Have you suddenly acquired a long tongue, Christie?
Maybe I have.
Your wife had a long tongue. Too long. Much too long.
I figured you were in that deal.
No one has anything on me in that case, Christie. No one can even lead to me except you. And the most you could get me is a conviction for grand larceny. However, I have no intention of spending any time in jail.
You're gonna fry, Professor.
On the contrary, Christie, a respectable householder such as I has every right to protect his premises from an escaped convict such as you, particularly a thief such as you, even when the protection involves killing.
Put away the knife, Professor. It doesn't go with the act.
On the contrary, the climax of my act used to be an exhibition of knife-throwing light.
All right, put it down, Professor.
Down or into Christie here.
All right, hold him, Wiener. Here, I got him, Lieutenant.
Let me go. You have no warrant.
Quiet him, Wiener.
Yes, sir.
Okay, dump him in the car, Wiener. The doc can look at his hand down at the station.
Check, Lieutenant.
You all right, Christie?
Yeah. Now I am. But you'd never get here, Lieutenant.
Why, we were outside right after you shut the door. Nice work. We've got a good circumstantial case on him for the death of your wife and a clear case of attempted murder where you're concerned. And I've got a hunch, Christie, that the parole board will take early notice of your assistance to the police in this. Now then, before you go back to jail, you want to watch us book the professor for murder?
Crime does not pay. John Loder, who was starred as Professor Carter Forsyth in The Professor Pulls a Switch, will be back with you in just a moment. Now here in person is John Loder.
There's little use denying that the professor was a very clever fellow. The pity being that his cleverness was warped and twisted into channels that led to evil rather than to good. The moral of his tale is twofold. First, for people like Neil Lanza, who, like so many of us, lend themselves to schemes without thinking because of the pressures we feel in our daily struggle to make a living. Second, for people like the professor, who live by their wits and expect to get away with it as long as they care to. To the first group, we say, watch your step. Think before you leap. To the second group, we reiterate, no matter how clever you may think you are, the day of reckoning will eventually arrive. It happens to be very true that crime does not pay.
Thank you, Mr. Loder. Crime Does Not Pay is written by Ira Marion and directed by Mark B. Loeb, with music composed and conducted by John Garth. Technical advisor is Burton B. Curtis. The events, characters, and names used in the story you've just heard are fictitious. Any similarity is purely coincidental.
Calling all detectives. A lonely old recluse never mentioned the existence of a husband who arrived in time for her death. That is the situation on this page from my casebook. The casebook of Jerry Browning, private detective. There's all kinds of evidence. And to be a private detective like me, Jerry Browning, you have to know what evidence to believe. Walking from my car to the big, lonely Carstairs house, I wondered why old Mrs. Carstairs clung to the place. She had enough money for the finest house in town instead of this 10-room barn in the middle of nowhere. Yet she'd lived here alone for the past 30 years. I expected Mrs. Carstairs to answer the doorbell. Instead, I saw a man of about 60, solidly built, heavily tanned. Yes? I'm Jerry Browning. Mrs. Carstairs expecting me. I see. May I ask, what is the nature of your business with her? Sure, I'm a private detective. I've been investigating a company Mrs. Carstairs was considering investing in. Now, I'll ask one. Who are you? A reasonable question. Come inside, Mr. Browning. I followed him inside to the gloomy reception hall. This may surprise you, Mr. Browning. I am Byron Carstairs, Agatha's husband. He smiled at me, but his eyes were cold and watchful. In case you're wondering where I've been for the past 30 years, I don't mind telling you. I've been in South Africa. Well, Mrs. Carstairs never told me that her husband was dead, but neither had she said he was alive. Since it was none of my business, all I said was, okay, Mr. Carstairs, will you please tell your wife that I'm here with that report? Carstairs kept his face bland. I'm afraid I can't do that, Mr. Browning. You see, she died 2 hours ago. A man who told me he was the long-lost husband of a lonely old recluse also told me that she was dead. Carstairs led me upstairs to his wife's bedroom. Poor Agatha. I'm afraid the shock of my arrival was too much for her heart. I didn't answer, brushed past him, and walked into Mrs. Carstairs' bedroom. She was lying fully clothed on the bed. There was no sign of any struggle in the room, no mark of violence on her. I'll have to call the police, Mr. Carstairs, and ask you to stay here until they arrive. Carstairs gave me a thin smile. I have every intention of staying, Mr. Browning. You forget, this is my home. The police surgeon walked over to where Lieutenant Dawson of Homicide and I were sitting in the living room. Looks like a heart attack, all right, but I can't be sure until we make complete lab tests. Dawson nodded, turned to Carstairs, who was standing near the fireplace. Mr. Carstairs, did your wife die in a bedroom? No, Lieutenant. We were downstairs here talking soon after I arrived this evening, and she suddenly collapsed, asked me to help her upstairs. I did so, and she died in my arms. That's real touching, Mr. Carstairs. How come you didn't call a doctor? She was dead, Lieutenant. Past medical aid. I was aware of my delicate position here, and I was wondering what course of action to take when Mr. Browning arrived. I shot a fast question at him. Where did you and Mrs. Carstairs originally come from? San Francisco, Mr. Browning. We were married there in 1907. I have here the certified copy of our marriage certificate, which I obtained in 1915, just before I left the States. Dawson took the photostat copy, glared at it, handed it back. I didn't bother to look at the document. Carstairs didn't have any other papers with him, but he had something even better. A suggestion that we go through Mrs. Carstairs' personal papers in search for possible references to him. We turned up a whole sheaf of stuff. Letters he'd written her from South Africa and now yellow with age. A few copies of replies she'd sent him in which she curtly refused requests for money. We found old photos showing Agatha Carstairs and this man as they might have looked 40 years ago, and even a tattered old wedding picture. Finally, okay, Mr. Carstairs, I guess you're who you claim to be, but until we're satisfied about just exactly how your wife died, we'll have to ask you to remain in this house. That okay with you? Carstairs gave us his bland smile. It is perfectly satisfactory, Lieutenant. I followed Dawson out into the reception hall. You're not leaving, are you, Dawson? This guy's a phony. Dawson frowned. You're wrong, Jerry. I say he's a no-good scoundrel and probably shocked the poor old lady to a death, but there's no doubt he's Byron Carstairs, and there's no doubt he'll get him money. Everything we've seen here has been carefully set up for us to see. Nobody would go to all that trouble and yet leave the most essential part of it, her death, to chance. Dawson frowned. Can you prove it? It was a tough spot because I didn't know how Mrs. Carstairs died. Well, Carstairs says she died downstairs, and that makes me think she died upstairs. Let's take another look at that bedroom. Okay, but you're just wasting my time. The body had long since been removed, but the bed still showed the indentation of the frail figure on the smooth counterpane. I stared at the bed. There was something queer about the neatness of the counterpane and the careless way in which the pillows at the head of the bed had been thrust under the bolster. I pulled the counterpane back, picked up one of the pillows. Hey, look at this soiled pillow, Dawson. Those marks right here, as though teeth had tried to bite on it. Dawson, Agatha Carstairs was smothered with this pillow, a form of death whose symptoms resemble certain types of heart attack. Come on, let's arrest the murderer.
I murder poor Agatha? Ridiculous. My wife was considerably my senior, more than 10 years. She was a very sick woman. Could not have lived much longer in any case. I didn't have to kill her.
Yes, you did, because you're not her husband, never were. Let me have a copy of that marriage certificate. Carstairs hesitated, then handed it over. This is a copy dated 1915 of a marriage performed in San Francisco in 1907. I don't need any expert to tell me that this is a forgery. You were very clever with all the fake documents and pictures you planted in the house during the 2 hours you had after you killed Mrs. Carstairs. But you slipped up badly on this marriage certificate. You see, on April 8th, 1908, there was a fire in San Francisco. The San Francisco earthquake and fire. And it destroyed every single public record prior to that date. So you see, you couldn't get a photostat copy of a marriage license of 1907. You're under arrest for murder. He broke down after that. He admitted that he'd spent years preparing his crime, patiently forged documents and pictures. It all started when he discovered that the real Byron Carstairs had been executed for murder in Alaska, a fact that his wife spent 30 years concealing. The imposter forged the photostat of the 1907 marriage certificate because that was where and when the Carstairs had really been married. But that was his one and only mistake. Like I said, there's evidence and evidence. And the easiest kind to disbelieve is the kind that cannot possibly exist. Listen next time to Calling All Detectives. Mystery drama, mystery quiz, and a chance for you to match wits with yours truly, Jerry Browning, Private Detective.
That knife. What are you going to do with that knife?
Nothing, Kitty. Nothing at all. I'm just going to cut you open, see if you've got a heart. See, I don't believe you have. And I just want to prove how a body can walk around without one.
Mickey.
Midnight, the witching hour when the night is darkest, our fears the strongest, and our strength at its lowest ebb. Midnight, when the graves gape open and death strikes. How? You'll learn the answer in just a minute in The 13th Floor. And now, Murder at Midnight. Tales of mystery and terror by radio's masters of the macabre. Our story by Winifred Wolfe is The 13th Floor.
Hotel corridors scare me late at night. They're too long and too creepy. I'm always afraid the walls, like big, flat, plaster hands, are going to close in on me. I wish somebody was around. No, not anybody. Anybody might be Mickey. And his hands aren't made out of plastic. They're bone and they're blood. And they want to choke the breath out of me. I just better get down this corridor and close the door behind me. I lock it and hide under the covers till I turn on the radio and I hear that switch. It was pulled in a little room, and Nicky was dead, full of hot sparks and his big hands hanging like putty. Then I won't have to be afraid anymore. It's what happened tonight, just now. It's making the inside of me all curdled and sour and sick. Even if I live a million more days, I won't forget how I came into that lobby. Just like always. I walked over to the desk. Hi, Joe. What's a good word?
Here. Got a rent statement from the hotel. No letters.
Oh. Certainly it's hot out, isn't it? Sort of muggy and sticky. Think it's going to rain?
Maybe.
You don't like me very much, do you?
No, not very much. You'll excuse me, I'm quite busy, Miss Owen.
Hey, you're a fresh little punk. I ought to tell the manager. It's a fine way to treat guests who pay their bills. Don't I always pay my rent on time?
Sure. Why not? $5,000 lasts a while if you take care of it.
Why, you. Hey, wait a second. Hold that elevator.
Sweet dreams, Miss Owen.
I said hold the elevator a second. What's the idea almost slamming it in my face?
Sorry, Miss Owen.
Yeah, I bet you are. Oh, Mr. Talbot. Evening.
Good evening.
Sure is hot out, wouldn't you say? I was saying to Joe, muggy and sticky.
Yeah.
I was just at an awful good movie at the Franklin. Tomorrow night they're having Lana Turner. You like Lana Turner?
Very much.
Yeah, me too. A lot of women don't because they're jealous of the way she looks. Me, though, I got blonde hair myself. I was planning to see it tomorrow night. Do you plan to...
Sorry, Miss Owen. I have an appointment tomorrow evening.
Oh. You run the elevator, you fresh punk. That's what you're hired for.
Oh, by the way.
Me?
No, Tommy.
Oh, yes, sir.
Will you let me in with your pass key? I forgot mine.
Yeah, sure thing, Mr. Talbot.
The car stopped and I got out. I was glad to get out.
Your floor.
Yeah, thanks for nothing. That's when it began, right there. The light from the elevator looked like a lot of lemonade, only being poured the wrong way, up instead of down. Hey, I remember thinking that. Funny to remember it now. I looked at my watch. It was 2 minutes to midnight. I started down the hall. I was feeling something's wrong. Don't be to get the jitters for nothing. Everything looked the same. Nothing was any different. My room was at the end of the hall. I took my key out and shoved it in the lock. Couldn't open. I kept twisting it and pushing it. Against it with my knee. Then, all of a sudden, I looked up and realized what was wrong. The number on the door was 1307, not 1407. I was on the wrong floor. That was it. That rotten little kid. I'll fix him. I was ready to bet he'd done it on purpose. Then...
Give Nicky a kiss, baby. Aren't you glad to see me? Come on in. I've been waiting for you a long time. I said come in. I'm getting a draft.
Nicky, let go of my arm. You're hurting me.
Sorry, baby. Maybe I don't know my own strength, huh?
What do you want? How'd you get in here?
One thing at a time. Don't rush me.
What'd you lock the door for?
I don't like interruptions. You never used to either when you were alone with me. Remember, Kitty?
I don't remember nothing.
Yeah, I know. You got a memory like a faucet. You turn it off and on, off and on. Wonderful. Take me, for instance. I have the kind of a memory you can't turn off. Keeps running all the time. The longer it runs, the hotter it gets. So hot now, Kitty, it'll scald you.
Look, Nicky.
I am looking. It's still a nice-looking number, you know. I always did like the way your waist curves and how white your neck is.
You didn't come here to tell me how I look.
Toss your hair over your shoulder like it gets me away. Go ahead, Kitty. Toss your hair back for Nicky.
What are you trying to do, dangle me on a string?
No, you're still a good-looking number. I don't look so hot, though, do I? You think maybe I lost a little weight?
Look, Nicky, please.
My face looks kind of pasty. That's because you don't get much chance for fresh air sweating what's left of time away in a death cell.
If I scream, the police will come and get you. If you come near me, I'll...
You won't scream.
No, come one step closer now.
You won't scream because there's not that much sound left in you. It's all frozen and sticking in your throat like an ice cube. Because you're afraid. You're afraid of me. Try screaming, Kitty. You see? What'd I tell you?
Nicky, I can help you. I can hide you here so they won't find you. Then I can help you get away, Nicky. Anywhere you want, I promise.
I asked you before to kiss me. You still haven't, you know.
No, don't come near me, please.
You used to like it. You never used to wait for me to
Yeah.
ask you.
Nicky, don't. No.
Sometimes you used to come over to me without me asking. Oh, what's the matter? Do I look as bad as all that? Oh, you afraid I'll get your pretty dress dirty?
But you gotta give me a chance. I can explain.
I know I'm not clean. You know, I crawled for half a mile in the mud until I couldn't hear the dogs chasing me anymore. If I'd known you were going to act like this, I would have said...
You gotta give me a
I would
break.
have said, Warden, call me a taxi. A nice, clean taxi so I can go see my girl, Kitty Owen. A cheap little squealer who sold me down the river for 5 G's. 5,000 lousy
Leave me alone.
bucks.
Take your hands off me.
Oh, I like to hold your face like this. Such a little face. Such big eyes. Big green eyes like a small tiger. Kitty, kitty. Like a cat. A sly, sneaky cat with long blonde hair. Don't you remember how I used to kiss you like this?
Nicky, let's...
Oh, this? What's this?
Nicky.
You act like you do remember.
You remember, too, don't you? You remember how it used to be with us, Nicky? Feel my hair the way it used to. Go on, you like to do it. You said it was soft like silk. Feel my hair, Nicky. You're not mad at me, are you? I said I was sorry. I went crazy. I didn't know what I was doing. I help you now, Nicky. Come on, run your fingers through my hair.
You lousy little tramp. Don't make me laugh. You crying, huh? Cat crying crocodile tears. Are you crying because you're sorry for me? You're sorry because sooner or later the cops will catch up with me and drag me back and I'll burn to a crisp in a chair, huh? Or you're crying because you know what I'm going to do to you?
Remember how it used to be with us, Nicky?
I know when I broke out they'd find me, but I wanted to say goodbye to you first. I wanted to kiss you. See if it still did the same things to me. I'll tell you something, Kitty. You leave me cold.
That knife. What are you going to do with that knife?
I'm going to cut you open and see if you've got a heart. I don't believe you have. I just want to prove how come a body can walk around without a heart.
No.
Just arms and legs stuck together with nothing to make them run.
I'll get you through this. Do it.
Yeah? What are they going to do? Electrocute me first, then take me out and hang me? What's the difference?
I'll tell you, Nicky, how it was. Just let me tell you. After you held up that jewelry store and the old dame was killed, when they put up the 5,000 bucks, I went crazy.
Yeah?
Honest, Nicky, I must have been clear out of my head. I've been sorry ever since, but I figured the cops would get you for it anyway. And then I'd be left with nothing. I didn't have a cent.
So you didn't wait. You turned me in yourself.
But I didn't know what I was doing.
I know what I'm doing. I'm going to kill you, Kitty Owen.
It won't help any.
It'll help me.
Stay away from me.
The only prayer saying it should be good for a laugh.
No, please.
Kitty, 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 like a cat.
No.
Yes, Kitty, yes. I'm going to kill you.
Following me slow like that, he didn't notice when I backed up to the table, picked up the vase. And after I hit him, he didn't know it then either. Just went down looking surprised. I knew he wouldn't be out long, so I bent over and took the key out of his pocket. He moved and made a funny little noise through his lips. Then I stopped breathing altogether. I was free. The hall was empty, no one around. I started to run down the narrow little corridor of the 13th floor. I pressed the elevator button, and I waited. Help, that was the only way I could get it. It seemed like hours instead of seconds. Finally, I heard it coming. I felt like I was standing on hot coals. My insides wouldn't stand still. The hand of the clock above the elevator climbed slowly from 5 to 6 and to 7. I was going crazy to stay up in there. And 7 10, 11, 12, and my heart exploded. My legs were soft, sticky pieces of dough, hardly able to hold my body up. The elevator had stopped at 12, and then went on to 14. 14! Then I remembered it wasn't going to stop. It couldn't stop. Because in this building, there wasn't any 13th floor.
A man from the death house. And the girl who betrayed him playing cat and mouse on a floor that doesn't exist. The hand of the elevator indicator did not stop at 13. But the hand of the watch on Kitty's wrist had stopped at 12. All ready for... Murder at Midnight. And now, back to Murder at Midnight and the 13th floor.
13th floor. Yeah, that's where I was, a floor that didn't exist, so how could I get out? How could I get away? What was I going to do? I didn't understand. I didn't understand anything.
Pretty good little slugger, baby.
Nick.
You took so much trouble to unlock the door, you should have taken a little time to lock it again after you.
Don't come after me with that knife. Please, don't. I don't want to die.
You think I did?
Why don't you give me another chance?
What
Nick?
chance did you give me?
Oh!
Wow. I didn't think you had that in you. Well, why doesn't somebody come, huh? Maybe it's because there isn't anybody besides us. Cozy, huh? Try it again. Go ahead. Try yelling again. Maybe you'll have better luck.
He was leaning against the door halfway down the hall, just leaning there and watching me because he knew he had me cornered. And I wasn't cornered. I turned and I ran the other way around the corner and down another hall. I didn't know if I'd really heard him running after me, if it was just the pounding in my head making a noise. I got to the end of the hall, then I stopped out of breath and looked behind. He wasn't there. No sign of him. I sucked in my breath so even that didn't make any sound. And I listened. I listened to nothing at all because it was so quiet. It was so awful quiet I could hear it. The wall I leaned against was big and flat and gray, and the corners jutted out into the hall like dead fingers. I looked to the right side of me, down the corridor. Like he wasn't there. So I turned my head. I looked at the hall, almost hoping in a way I'd see him and get it over with instead of this wait. I wasn't there either. I tried to squeeze my shoulder blades into the wall so I could hide, but it was hard and cold. It wouldn't move. Nicky, where are you? For the love of heaven, say something so I'll know where you are. Don't just keep standing here. I can't take it. Nicky, I'm sick. My stomach's sick. So am I. Just make some noise. Nicky, where are you? I found myself back at the elevator again. I knew he was around somewhere. Around one of those corners that were jutting out like dead fingers waiting. The elevator was coming up again. The hand was up to 11. Had to stop. I pressed the button, threw all my weight against it. And it did. It did. The big door was sliding open, and I was safe.
Going up or down, Kitty Owen? I'll take you wherever you want to go.
Nick. Oh, not again. I can't stand.
I'll take you for a ride.
No, I won't go.
But didn't you ring me? I heard you ring. Come on. Get in. Just the two of us. We'll go for a ride. Only just one of us will come back. I said get in.
All the time he was talking, I was backing away. And then all of a sudden I saw at a door with a bright red sign that said stairway down. My last chance, I almost leaped to it. I opened the door and I flew down the stairs. It wasn't easy with high heels, but even so the sound of it was like music. Sweet, hot music from a clarinet, because I knew they were taking me down. Faster, faster. I fell a couple of times. I caught myself, I clinging to the bed. I was still there. So I kept running. Suddenly, there I was. I was out on the street again. Now I was really safe. There were always a lot of people on the streets. I didn't see any people, just a big policeman with a red face. Boy, he sure looked good to me. Hey, wait a minute.
No. Take it easy, miss. Don't get excited.
Hey, look, Nicky Carstairs, he's in that hotel. He's after me.
Carstairs?
Yeah.
Sure, and who you wanting the kids? It can't be.
Look, he's out, I tell you. I saw him. He wants to kill me.
But Nicky Carstairs is in the death cell. Don't you read the papers?
Say, I'll have you reported. What kind of a cop are you anyway?
What kind of a woman are you without a heart? Just arms and legs stuck together with nothing to make them go.
You're not a policeman. You're Nicky. You're still Nicky. You didn't look like Nicky a second ago. I don't understand.
What's the get-up? How do I look?
Nicky, please, no, not anymore.
I told you we were playing cops and robbers, and this time I'm the cop. And I'm still going to kill you, Kitty Owen.
It was no good. I had to run again. My last stronghold. My last hope, the hotel lobby. If there was no one there, I just gave up. I was through. As I ran around the corner, I thought the war had ended all over again because there was confetti coming out of all the windows, so much of it. Falling. The sidewalks were beginning to look like it had been snowing for a long time. I ran over them like a cock. I ran with my eyes down and I could see the headlines. Nicky Carstairs in death house, prison break. No one had to tell me this. I ran into the lobby to find people, to tell them where he was. There was no one there either. Only Joe at the desk. Joe?
Oh, early that night, Miss Owen. Not quite midnight.
Look, Joe, I know you don't like me, but you gotta help me.
Reading the papers about Nicky Carstairs breaking out?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do.
$5,000 should last you a little while if you take care of it.
Hey, Joe, he's here. He's in the hotel. He's chasing me.
That's a lot of money. $5,000.
Wants to kill me. You gotta help me.
Sweet dreams, Miss Owen.
He's here. Can't you understand? He's on the 13th floor.
There's no 13th floor in this
He's
building.
there. I tell you.
Sweet dreams, Miss Owen.
I know there wasn't any use arguing, and he wouldn't believe me. Even if he did, he wouldn't help me because he didn't like me.
Going up.
No one would believe me. There was only one thing left for me to do. Lock myself in my room on the 14th floor. Stay there until they caught Nicky. I leaned against the back of the car, crouched in a corner. My eyes closed because I was so tired. I was so tired. I kept thinking of a bed, a big white bed, clean white sheets to crawl between. The door was locked.
Sorry to have to bother you about that passkey, Tommy. I just forgot to pick mine up at the desk.
It's like a glass of cold water had been thrown on top of me. I opened my eyes. That Talbot guy was in the car again. No. I can't steal. And he was talking about the pass key the way he had before. No, not before either. Because when I looked at my watch, it was still minute midnight. Then I suddenly knew. I was so weak with relief I wanted to cry. Yeah, I heard him say it. Sometimes you can see your whole life pass by in just a second. That lifetime I lived in the elevator. All in my head was sandwiched in between a couple of floors. It never really happened. It was just that I had been dreading for months coming back some night, finding Nicky there waiting for me. My mind had invented a 13th floor. when it never was there at all. And the cop and the newspapers that said Nicky was out. All part of it. That crazy half-dream. Of course he wasn't out. I told myself it was all part of it. I never got out of the elevator. I was there all the time. All the time.
Your floor, Miss Owen.
14?
Sure, 14. Ain't that your floor?
You sure this time, aren't you?
What are you talking about this time?
I mean, never mind. 1401. That was in the first door. I was on the right floor this time. I'm feeling better already. What a fool I'd been. Started to walk down the hall. Had a feeling Talbot and the boy in the elevator was watching me. Wish they shut the door and go on.
Say, Mr. Talbot.
Yes?
Did you read about Nicky Carstairs?
No, what?
He escaped. Got out of the death house.
Is that so?
He's on the loose. Good night, Miss Owen.
Yeah. Hotel corridors scare me. They're too long and too creepy. I'm always afraid the walls like big flat plaster hands are going to close in. Now I know it was more than just dreading it for weeks. Made me imagine. Nicky was out and after me. Must have known it all along. Had a feeling I wasn't safe. I'm going to go to my own room. I'll lock the door and hide under the covers till I hear they found him. Took him back. Till I hear he's dead, I won't have to be afraid anymore. Not anymore.
Give Nicky a kiss, baby. Aren't you glad to see me?
The 14th floor this time. A floor that does exist. But the hands of the watch on Kitty's wrist still stand at 12 for... Murder at midnight. Remember to be with us again when the door marked exit only opens and the clocks strike 12 for murder at midnight. The part of Kitty was played by Ann Shepard, and Paul Mann was Nicky. With music by Charles Paul, Murder at Midnight was directed by Anton M. Leader.
This I believe. Dr. William Keller is a professor of psychiatry at the University of Louisville School of Medicine and director of the psychiatric services at the Louisville General Hospital. He was on active duty with the Navy during World War II, serving 2 years in the South Pacific. Here now is Dr. Keller's creed.
I believe that my personal philosophy of living was pretty much blueprinted for me by my father, who was a physician engaged in general practice in our town. You know the type: babies, boils, and broken bones. From him I got most of my basic beliefs. Sickness and suffering are great levelers and tend to equalize many differences such as religious, financial, and social. I believe the golden rule pays off the greatest dividends in human relationships. I believe that ambition is an excellent attribute if the aim is an obtainable goal. I believe that aside from those catastrophic misfortunes which sometimes hit all of us, people create most of their own problems. I believe that we can do a great deal for people without ever really helping them. Now, as a psychiatrist, I have seen and talked to thousands of people who were having difficulties. I have been particularly fortunate, having been born, reared, and educated in the same place where I teach and practice psychiatry. This has given me the opportunity to see many of the same people over a long period of time in the actual process of living, with all the happiness and unhappiness involved therein. Out of these experiences has come a strengthening of my earlier beliefs and teachings. Illness, trouble, and pain force one with humility to recognize a common heritage of humanity. Coming from a city with a Southern past and having had a grandfather who fought for the Confederacy, it was important for me to learn that colored people can get just as sick as anybody, and that in combating anemia, Negro blood is just as effective as white blood. The golden rule precludes selfishness, but I see so many people who have never learned its basic principle. This simple rule of treating other people as you would like to be treated can bring infinite happiness and tremendous satisfactions. I see many patients who have suffered from too much ambition and have tried frustratedly to own the shoe factory rather than content themselves with being the best cobbler in the entire area. This in spite of the fact that almost everybody wears shoes. Most people seem to make their own little troubles by worrying, fretting, and stewing about highly improbable, disastrous happenings. It is a rare experience for a psychiatrist to see something actually come to pass that a patient has been worrying about. Once, between halves of a high school football game, our coach was berating the team for fumbling. I was the water boy. When one of the players protested that the other team was getting all the breaks, the coach replied, "The best team forces the breaks." And I believe I see many people who do not recover fumbles and who are unhappy about some other person who they believe is getting the breaks. Now, although my father died when I was relatively young, he taught me the value and satisfaction of helping myself, and I feel I see many instances where an effort is made to help people, but too often there is little effort made to help people help themselves. Now, these things I believe, partly because they were taught me and have allowed me to live a full and happy life, and partly because, as a psychiatrist, I see many unhappy people who have not been able to accept them.
They're the beliefs of Dr. William Keller of Louisville, Kentucky, a psychiatrist who has done much deep thinking about himself as well as about his patients.
What's the matter? What is it?
Another case for Nick Carter, master detective.
Yes, it's another case for that most famous of all manhunters, the detective whose ability at solving crime is unequaled in the history of detective fiction. Nick Carter, master detective. Tonight's curious adventure,
Death in the Pines, or Nick Carter and the mystery of the murdered driver.
Well, let's see. There's a truck coming up the grade now. It ought to be them.
Yeah. Just 1:30. That's a take truck, all right.
Now, you guys know what to do. We've done it often enough before.
Sure.
All right. Get going. When the truck gets close enough, I'll put the searchlight in the driver's face like before. His stuff's fast enough. Here goes.
Hey! What the blazes goes on here? What's the big idea?
Get those hands up, wise guy, and get down out of that cab.
You guys can't get away with this.
You want to stay alive, get down out of that cab and keep quiet. And bring your helper down with you.
You're a bunch of crooks. Don't.
They got us. There ain't nothing we can do. Okay, boys, get busy. Get up on that truck and get that stuff dumped out in the road. Okay, shake it up, boys. We want to get out of here.
Hey, keep your boys moving, Jake. We got another one to take care of yet.
Hey, I know that voice. So you're the guy who's in back of all this hijacking. Now I know you.
Yeah, well, I hope you try it.
Oh.
What's the idea? What'd you have to kill him for?
Shut up, punk. You don't want to get bumped off, too.
But you didn't have to kill him.
Shut up.
Hey, that changes our plans a little, Jake. Get your men down off the truck. Pick these two stiffs up and put them back in the cab of the truck. Then put a hole in the gas tank and touch a match to it.
Okay, boys, come on down.
There won't be much left for the cops to work on when they get here, which is all right with me. I don't like to see them get killed, but when they know too much, it's the only way.
I see, Coroner. Yes, thanks very much. Yes, thanks. So long.
Might as well let me know the worst, Mr. Carter. After what I've been through, a little more or less doesn't matter.
Mr. Tate, I'm sorry to have to tell you this, but your driver wasn't burned to death. He was shot. Murdered before the truck was set on fire.
Yeah, I was afraid of that. Regan was my oldest and best driver. Been with me for 10 years.
You're having trouble with racketeers?
Yes, have been for the past year.
How do they work?
Well, I operate about 40 trucks, hauling vegetables and green stuff from South Jersey to the New York markets. It has to be done at night, so we get to New York market before morning. About a year ago, somebody called me on the phone and said he represented a protective agency. And he'd like to sell me protection at $25 a truck.
$25 a truck? That's pretty steep, isn't it?
It's exorbitant. I told him I wouldn't pay it.
So what happened?
2 days later, one of my trucks was stopped and the drivers were beaten. The produce was dumped and destroyed. The next day, the guy called again. I told him I wouldn't pay.
Did you try getting protection from the state troopers?
Sure I did. And they did what they could. Whenever a trooper followed one of the trucks, or when one of their men rode on the truck as a helper, these trucks were never bothered. But the other trucks, it was the same old story.
I see. Well, how do you account for the fact that the trucks with the troopers on them were never touched?
I don't know. Unless the hijackers had spies at the loading points to watch if the trucks had their regular crews.
And what was the outcome this time?
In the end, I had to agree to pay the $25. And then, for 6 months, there was no more trouble. A week ago, this same guy called and said the ante had been raised from $25 to $40 a truck.
$40?
I told him I couldn't pay that because I didn't make that much. And you know what happened last night.
Yes, I know. Well, are you going to try to keep writing the stuff through?
If you can help me, I will.
I'll do it. And to begin with, I'd like to put my assistant, Patsy Bowen, in your office as a typist.
Sure.
Maybe she can learn something that will start us off in the right direction. Well, Patsy, did you have a nice eventful day in Tate's office?
I learned a few things, Nick, if that's what you mean.
Good. Let's have it.
Mr. Tate makes up the daily schedule of operations based on the orders he receives. Then he turns the completed schedule over to Al Laparo, who's the fleet foreman.
Mm-hmm.
Only Mr. Tate, Laparo, and Dave Morgan, who's Tate's assistant, know what the orders are, as far as I can find out.
I see. Any suspicions?
Not yet. Laparo's been with Tate 9 years and Morgan for about 4 years. When the trouble started about a year ago, both of them rode the trucks. Morgan was one of the drivers who got beaten up, got knocked out cold before he could see anything.
Doesn't leave us much in the way of anything to go on, does it?
I'm sorry, Nick, but that's all I could get today.
I don't feel bad, Patsy. You did what you could.
And what's the next step?
I want to talk to the state trooper who found the truck in which Regan was killed. He may be able to tell me something that's been overlooked.
You say you read my report, Mr. Carter. I don't know that I can tell you anything else.
Were you on the state police force when Tate started having his trouble about a year ago?
Yes, I was.
Well, that business of the hijackers never picking in a truck guarded by state troopers needs explaining. Could there have been any leak from this end?
Absolutely not. I rode several of the trucks myself. None of us ever knew where we were going until Tate's office gave us our orders. Then we went out on the road just as soon as we got those orders.
Good. And the leak must be on Tate's end. Now, the next thing. Your report gives the impression that the thug simply stopped Tate's truck, killed the driver in cold blood, and then burned the truck for good measure. Was that your personal impression?
Well, no.
Oh.
When I first got there, I was suspicious because the truck hadn't gone off the road or collided with anything that would cause a fire or a wreck. Then I remembered that Tate's trucks had been having trouble a while back, so I took another look around.
And the result of that second examination?
The truck was surrounded by crates which had been thrown off the truck. Crates that were smashed and broken, but not burned. Now, if the hijackers were going to burn the truck, why bother to throw all those crates off the truck first? It just didn't make sense.
That's what I wanted to know. I'd say the gang started out to do the usual job, smashing the cargo and manhandling the crew. But then something happened. Something that made them switch their tactics. And they did something they'd never done before. They killed the driver.
Yeah, that explanation would fit the facts as I saw them. But what do you suppose caused the change in plan?
Well, I can make a guess, maybe. Tate told me that Regan was his oldest driver.
Yeah?
Now, somebody in Tate's outfit must be in league with the hijackers. That's the only way they could know as much as they do. I believe that Regan recognized one of Tate's men in the hijack gang.
Sure. And that fits right in with the idea that somebody in Tate's outfit was crossing him. Yes, Mr. Carter, I believe you've hit something.
Have you arranged with Mr. Tate for me to go to work for him?
Oh, no, Shelby. I haven't said anything to him. I don't want him to know.
Well, then how do you know I can get the job?
Tate's lost so many men since Regan was killed a couple of nights ago that he'll be glad to hire anybody. Patsy will fix you up with the necessary papers, licenses, references, and so forth. Wear your old clothes and don't wash your neck, and you'll have no trouble getting hired.
And what do you want me to look for especially, Nick?
Well, according to what Patsy says, the leak either goes through Tate, which hardly seems likely, through Leparo or Morgan, or through somebody else we haven't found out about yet. So get a line on things in general, on anyone who may look suspicious. Oh, and if you're riding a truck that gets held up, don't try to shoot it out, Scubby. Just let things ride.
We'll see about that when the time comes.
It's a 40-to-1 shot against your getting stopped, but just the same, watch your step. These men, whoever they are, have 2 murders on their head, and they won't balk at a couple more.
Men looking for jobs, line up over here. New men over here.
Hey, buddy, who's the guy over there at the desk?
Oh, that's Al Leparo, the fleet foreman.
Oh, that's the guy. Looks like a toughie.
Don't worry, fella. He ain't turning nobody down these days. This outfit's got the finger on it. They had 40 men walk out on him yesterday. And I got a hunch this new gang ain't gonna last long either.
Oh, you mean on account of the killings the other day?
Yeah, that and the beating up of a couple of other drivers.
Recently?
Yeah, night before last.
Hey, that ain't so good, is it?
Ah, what's the difference? A job, ain't it?
Hey, who's the other guy?
Huh? Oh, that's Dave Morgan, old man Tate's assistant.
All right. Report to the garage at once. Next.
Mike Clausen's and then Mr. Leparo. Here are me papers.
Mm-hmm. You worked here before, ain't you?
Sure. I drove for you.
Yeah,
but
never mind that. You ain't working here no more. Right, Morgan?
Right, Leparo. Nothing doing on that guy. Oh, but what's the matter? I got a good record. I ain't never had no trouble.
Maybe not, but you ain't wanted here. Get out. Next.
Ah, the big punk.
Who's next?
Oh, me. The name's Wilson.
Where's your papers?
Oh, yeah. Here.
Mm-hmm. Wilson, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, you're hired. Report to Matt Steiger on truck number 11. You start as helper at $23 a week. Satisfied?
Sure, boss. Okay by me.
Tell Steiger he picks up his load tonight at Freeman's Farm down South Jersey. He knows where it is. Get going.
Right. Thanks.
So they took you on, did they, Scubby? I thought they would.
Yes. I'm phoning from a lunchroom where I just ate.
Anything happened yet?
Well, just before they gave me a job, an old-timer named Mike Clausen was turned down. He used to work for Tate years ago. But LaPero wouldn't take him back.
I see. Maybe they didn't want to take on anyone who ever worked there before, or who has been there for long.
Well, maybe it doesn't mean anything, Nick, but it looks as if
What's the trouble, Scubby?
I'm not sure, Nick. But I just realized the guy in the booth next to me here isn't saying a word. He went into his booth as I came into this one. But he hasn't dialed a number or said anything yet.
Looks as if somebody's onto you already. Any idea who it could be?
No idea at all. Oh, but how could anybody know about me so soon?
There's always a chance that somebody's recognized you. Well, keep your eyes open, Scubby. Don't start anything.
Any orders?
No. Let me know at once if anything worthwhile happens. And good luck to you.
Thanks. Hey, what are you going to be doing?
I have several lines of investigation that I want to follow up here in the city. There are certain angles of this case that I want to clear up here before I do anything else. So long, Scubby. See you soon. I hope.
Gosh, Matt, driving one of these trucks is no cinch, is it?
How do you mean, kid?
Well, I've been driving a truck around in the city, and it ain't been like this at all. We spent the afternoon loading the stuff on the truck. Now we got to spend all night riding it back to town.
You don't like it, huh?
I'm beginning to think it wasn't such a bright idea, hiring over this Tate outfit. Especially with a chance of getting beat up throwing in free.
Cheer up. You might ride for weeks and never get stopped at all.
Gosh, this is a lonely section of the country, ain't it? Nothing but these scrub pines both sides of the road.
That's right.
Hey, I'm getting tired, man. You know, it's been a long time since I done so much weight. Mind if I take a little nap?
Go ahead. About 1 o'clock now. I'll drive till 3, then you can take over. You'll be out in the main road by then.
Okay. Call me if you need me.
Yeah, sure, kid.
What you stopping for?
Somebody is signaling us with a flashlight to stop. I wonder what...
No, don't stop, man. It may be a holdup. Remember old man Tate's orders? No truck stop for nothing.
Oh, it's the state troopers. Nothing to worry about.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I can see the uniform now. Okay. I'll get out and see what he wants. Hey, what's the matter, officer? What... Hey, that's a phony uniform. You're no regular cop.
This is the guy, all right. One of you fellas take care of the driver.
Look out, Matt!
Come down out of that cab, fella. You know what's good for you.
Matt, it's a trap!
Shut up, Dick, and don't move. I got you covered. I don't try to pull you out.
No!
Hey, quit that. Cut it out.
There, that takes care of you, you rat. Now for the other.
Here you are, copper.
Oh! Matt!
Not out yet, kid. You won't do no more fighting for a while. Okay, boys, come on.
Gosh, I'm tired, Patsy. I've done more of my own leg work today than I've done in years. I almost wish I'd kept Scubby here to do the walking around. And gone out on the truck myself.
Did you find out anything, Nick?
Yes, Patsy, I think so. But I can't be sure for a little while yet. Not until I get some more answers to some of the thousands of questions I've asked today.
There have been several messages for you. I think this is probably the only one that's really important. Yeah.
No, thanks. I thought so. He's trying to borrow money. At least all that much of it. Makes me positive I'm on the right track. Any report from the state troopers, Patsy?
Yes, they think they've located the place. They're going to call you later this evening when they get the details.
Good. That'll give me time to join them before they make a raid. I don't want to miss being in at the kill.
Hey. You awake, Wilson?
Yeah. Who are you?
That's Tiger, your driver.
Oh, yeah, I remember now. They stopped us. I tried to fight, and they knocked me out. How about you?
Yeah, they conked me, too.
Yeah?
I wonder why they didn't shoot us and be done with it.
Yeah, I wonder. Hey, where are we now? Any idea?
No, but I seem to remember taking a long ride last night after we left the truck. I wonder what time it is.
I don't know. It's still dark, though.
Yeah. Hey, Wilson, I've been wondering. I heard one of them thugs call you Dick and Copper when they were scrapping with you. Are you Copper?
Well, kind of one, yeah. Just trying to get a line on what's going on in this Tate outfit.
Yeah?
But how in heck did that guy know it was me?
Did Tate know what you're on?
No. Nobody knew about me working for Tate but me and my boss. Hey, wait a minute.
What?
Right after I got the job, I phoned my boss, and somebody in the next phone booth overheard what I told him. Boy, they trapped me neat as you please.
They probably was afraid of you.
Looks like it. Well, the first thing to do is to get out of here.
Well, I've been working at the ropes that I got my hands tied together with, and I can't budge them at all. They're too tight for me.
Well, I think maybe I can get mine loose if I have time. I think my boss taught me several tricks to get out of ropes like this.
Yeah? Guess you'll have to get us out of this one, then. I can't.
Hold it, Matt.
Yeah.
Somebody's coming.
Time we got that red-headed punk waked up. Boss is due any minute now.
With pleasure. Come on, you. Leave me assist you to a chair. Sorry you can't walk by yourself tied up like that, but that wouldn't be etiquette.
Come on. Cut the comedy.
Wake up, you. Come on, Copper. Get them eyes open.
Oh, hey. Hey, what's the matter? Hey, what you trying to do?
There you are, Mike. You want me to soften him up for you?
Let's see if he talks first. Maybe he'll talk without any persuading.
Well, okay, but I hope he needs some waking over. I enjoy that.
All right, punk. You gonna talk?
Talk about what?
There's no use stalling. We know you're Nick Carter's man.
Well, if you know that, what you want me to say?
We know you called Carter yesterday before you left New York. What'd you say to him? What'd you tell him?
Hey, I know you.
Huh?
You're the guy who wore the phony state trooper's uniform when you held us up last night.
Yeah? Well, knowing that ain't gonna help you none. Come on, spill it. How much do you know?
Okay, he ain't gonna talk, Mike. It's gotta be a real job. I gotta go to work on him.
Yeah, I guess you're right, Jake.
Oh.
Go ahead and make it good.
Sure. Oh, let me take my coat off first so I don't feel cramped.
Let me have it. I'll put it on the back of the chair.
Thanks, Mike. Oh, you better put my gun in the pocket of my coat so they won't get in my way when I really get going.
Okay. Now, let's see some action.
All right, you red-headed stool pigeon. Now spill it. Spill it all around. What the...
Come on, Jake. There's trouble out there.
Well, that's a funny one.
Matt, do you see what I see?
What do you mean?
Jake left his coat hanging on the back of that chair there. There's a gun in the pocket of that coat.
Oh, boy, what a break if we can only get loose.
Just a minute. My hands are almost free.
Good.
Wait a minute. There. Now, get the feet loose. That does it. Now the gun. Now let him come back.
Hey, what's
Drop that gun. You're covered.
Oh, yeah? Well, this'll show. Yeah.
How you would, was it? Here.
Oh, you killed me. You killed me.
You got him, Wilson. Get me loose and I'll give you a hand. They'll be back in here.
Right, but the gun is empty. Gee, we're in a spot.
He killed the boss. Come on.
Yeah, the boss is dead. I'm getting out of here.
Yeah, let's get going.
Listen. They're leaving.
Yeah. Wait a minute. There you are, Matt.
Oh, gee, thanks, Wilson. Gosh, I'm glad to get out of them ropes.
Hey, Matt, this is the screwiest thing I ever heard of.
Yeah. Why do you suppose they beat it off like that?
You got me. But come on, let's get out of this place. They might come back as fast as they went out.
Yeah. Okay, give me a chair. I'll break this door down for you.
Okay. Gosh, Matt. There he is on the floor, the boss. And 2 holes through his forehead.
You sure hit him square in the bullseye.
Wait till I take off his mask and see if I know... Matt. What? It's Mr. Tate.
Who?
The owner of the trucking company.
Mr. Tate?
Yeah.
Tate racketeering his own business? Attacking his own trucks?
But that doesn't make sense, Matt.
Boy, I'll say it doesn't. Why should he want to destroy his own business?
And why would he ask Nick to investigate the... Hey, we got to get out of here.
Yeah.
We're going to get out...
Maybe some more of them in there.
Can you see him?
Yeah. Oh, they're state troopers.
Oh,
it's
boy.
okay, man.
Open up in there! Come on with your hands up! Come on, you're surrounded and outnumbered.
Don't shoot. We're coming out.
Get that door open before they shoot.
We surrender.
Get your hands up. I got 2 here, men. Watch the back of the house. Right, Sergeant?
Oh, gosh, are we glad to see you.
Yeah, keep your hands up.
Oh, yeah, sure. Look, I'm Scubby Wilson, and this is Matt Steiger. I'm Nick Carter's assistant.
You look it. Who's the dead man lying there?
Well, that's Mr. Tate. I just shot him.
Oh, you did? Well, that'll send you to the chair, all right.
Oh, no. No, you don't understand. He's the chief of the hijackers. Well, he was holding us prisoners here.
That's a good one. Where's the gun you killed him with?
Why, it's in the other room.
Keep your hands up.
But, officer, you don't understand.
I suppose you're going to tell me you shot him in self-defense, huh?
Yeah. That's just what I did. Well, look, you can ask Matt here.
That's right, officer. He was going to kill us both.
Yeah.
Sure. Where's the gun he was going to kill you with?
Well, it was in his hand when I saw it last.
Well, it ain't here now. You're a bum liar, feller. I suppose that after you shot him between the eyes, killing him instantly, he walked over to the window, threw his gun away, and then came back here, lay down, and died.
Oh, but gosh, officer, I saw him.
Put your hands out.
Huh? What?
Put your hands out.
How about you can't put handcuffs on me?
No? Watch me.
Be sure they're on good and tight, son.
I will, that.
Nick!
Oh, hello, Scubby. Having a good time?
You know this guy, Mr. Carter?
Does he know me? Oh, tell him who I am, Nick.
Yes, Sergeant, I'm afraid I have to confess that I do know him. He's my assistant, although he hasn't been much of assistance in this case.
Shall I let him go, then?
Yes, I'll take charge of him.
Okay, if you say so.
Oh, gosh, Nick, am I glad to see you. Oh, this is Matt Steiger, the guy who was driving the truck I was on.
Hello, Mr. Carter. I don't know you.
Hey, look, I heard some shooting a few minutes ago. Did you get some of the gang?
Yes, Scubby. Morgan and 4 men. We ran that car off the road and caught them all. Morgan's pretty badly wounded, but he'll pull through.
So Morgan was in on it after all.
Morgan was the head of the gang.
Oh, no. No, Morgan wasn't the head of the gang, Nick. The head of the gang is lying there, dead. And I shot him. Put 2 bullets in him in self-defense.
Who is he? You know him?
Know him. It's Mr. Tate.
Mr. Tate? Well, he had nothing to do with this.
He sure did, Nick. Why, he was holding us prisoners here. Sure, Matt can tell you.
That's true, Mr. Carter. He tried to kill Wilson, and Wilson shot him.
I tell you, Tate had nothing to do with this gang, Scubby.
Oh, what makes you so sure, Nick?
I did a lot of investigating in town today, and I found that Morgan has been trying to borrow money anywhere and everywhere he could to take advantage of what he called a chance to get going a good business, dirt cheap. Well, that obviously meant Tate's business, especially since the $40 a truck the racketeers asked was unquestionably intended to drive Tate out of business rather than to get the money out of him.
But Morgan was one of the drivers who got beaten up, Nick.
Who said so? Morgan. Nobody else knew anything about it, and it gave him a swell alibi. I think that Regan, the driver who was killed the other day, probably was shot because he recognized Morgan.
But, Nick, everything you say about Morgan could have been true of Tate just as well.
Not quite, Scubby. I found out several other things during my investigation today that proved definitely that Morgan's the one.
But, Nick, I shot Tate not 5 minutes ago. Well, he was trying to kill me.
I wonder. You shot him 5 minutes ago. How does it happen that he's been dead for at least 3 hours?
Dead for 3 hours?
No question about it. Rigor mortis has already begun to set in. Scubby, somebody's put one over on you.
Well, what do you mean, Nick?
Where's the gun you shot him with?
Well, the trooper took it.
Yeah, that's right. Here it is, Mr. Carter.
Thanks. Look here. How does it happen that you shot him with blank cartridges?
Oh, Nick, now don't say...
Here are the shells I just took out of that gun you used. 4 of them have been fired previously. And you can see that the other 2, the 2 left for you to fire, have had the bullets pried out of them. Now, you see the mark on the edge of the shell?
Yeah.
So you couldn't have shot him.
But, Mr. Carter, I saw Wilson plug him. I saw him falling dead as the door closed behind him. There's no question about it.
There's no question but what you thought you saw that. But it was all planned, just that way.
Planned?
Certainly. How come you were able to get out of the ropes you were tied up with so fast? How come there was nobody in the room when you got hold of the gun? Why do you suppose that gun was left where you could get your hands on it? That is what happened, isn't it?
Yes, Nick. As right as if you'd been here to see it.
It couldn't have been any other way. Tate probably had a hunch Morgan was guilty and trailed him here. Morgan caught him, shot him with this gun. Then he wiped his prints off it.
and he planted it where you could get at it. Then, at the psychological moment, Morgan, with a mask over his face, opened the door so you could see him and shot at you. Then you shot at him, as he knew you would, using the 2 shells he had left in the gun for you. The 2 shells with no bullets in them. Then he pretended to fall dead, carefully shutting the door as he did so that you couldn't see what happened next.
Oh, I see, Nick. And then he put Tate's body there by the door with a mask over his face.
Right.
Gosh.
When you opened the door, there was Tate's body, shot through the head with the very gun you held in your hand. A gun in which the police would find your fingerprints, and yours only. Morgan would have made sure they found it.
Boy, what a setup. It was perfect. Matt would have had to swear he saw me do it, and I was so completely fooled that... Why, I would have confessed to the murder in any court in the country.
Yes, Scubby. You still trust too much to what you hear and see. Before you can be a really first-class detective, you'll have to learn to distrust everything until you've analyzed it in the light of all the evidence.
This has been another of the strange adventures of Nick Carter, Master Detective, which are brought to you regularly at this time by WOR Mutual. Well, Nick, what about next week's story? Can you give us a hint?
Next week, my story concerns a murderer who killed his victims according to the sign of the zodiac under which they were born.
A very unpleasant and dangerous man, I might add.
Yes, definitely. Patsy and I got so close on his trail that he tried 2 different times to get rid of us.
But in his attempts to be very clever, he made a bad mistake, and Nick caught him.
And caught the murderer, too, I imagine.
Quite right. After a chase. I call the story The Horoscope Murders. So long. See you next week.
So long.
So long to you, Nick and Patsy. In the strange adventure you have just heard, Nick Carter was impersonated by Lon Clark, Patsy by Helen Choate, Scubby by John Cade. Original music was played by Lou White. The entire production was written and directed by Jock McGregor. Next week at the same time, listen to another curious experience of Nick Carter entitled
The Horoscope Murders, or Nick Carter and the Mystery of the Avenging Astrologer.
This story is a copyrighted feature of Street and Smith Publications, Incorporated. The Return of Nick Carter is produced in the studios of WOR and is broadcast over most of these stations every Saturday evening at 7 o'clock Eastern War Time. And don't forget that the adventures of Nick Carter's adopted son, Chick Carter, are broadcast over most of these stations Mondays through Fridays at 5:30 p.m. Eastern War Time. This is Mutual.
This I believe. The more a reporter sees, the more he learns about life and about himself. William L. Shirer has seen a great lot of what has happened to the world and to the people in it in our time. His Berlin diary was one of the first documents to impress on us the enormity of the plague inflicted on civilization by a man named Hitler. Bill Shirer is a distinguished foreign correspondent, author, and lecturer. But he has another side, a simple, homespun side springing from a boyhood in Illinois and college days in Iowa. This is the background against which he states his convictions.
It's rather difficult in these noisy, confusing, nerve-wracking days to achieve the peace of mind in which to pause for a moment to reflect on what you do believe in. Though it is a thing we live by, and without it, without beliefs, human existence today would hardly be bearable. In my own case, there were 2 experiences in particular which helped to shape my beliefs. Years of life and work under a totalitarian regime and a glimpse of war. living in a totalitarian land taught me to value highly and rather fiercely the very things the dictators denied: tolerance, respect for others, and above all, the freedom of the human spirit. A glimpse of war filled me with wonder, not only at man's courage and capacity for self-sacrifice, but at his stubborn, marvelous will to persevere, to endure, to prevail, amidst the most incredible savagery and suffering. When you saw people, civilians who were bombed out, or worse, who had been hounded into concentration camps or worked to a frazzle in the slave labor gangs, when you saw them come out of those ordeals of horror and torture, still intact as human beings, with a will to go on, with a faith still in themselves, in their fellow men, and in God, you realized that man was indestructible. You appreciated, too, that despite the corruption and cruelty of life, man somehow managed to retain great virtues: love, honor, courage, self-sacrifice, compassion. It filled you with a certain pride just to be a member of the human race. It renewed your belief in your fellow men. Of course, there are many days in this age of anxiety when a human being feels awfully low and rather discouraged. I myself find consolation at such moments by two means: trying to develop a sense of history and renewing the quest for an inner life. I go back, for example, to reading Plutarch. He reminds you that even in the golden days of Greece and Rome, from which so much that is splendid in our own civilization derives, there was a great deal of what we find so loathsome in our life today: war, strife, corruption, treason, double-crossing, intolerance, tyranny, rabble-rousing. Reading history thus gives you perspective. It enables you to see your troubles relatively. You don't take them so seriously then. Finally, I find that most true happiness comes from one's inner life, from the disposition of the mind and soul. Admittedly, a good inner life is difficult to achieve, especially in these trying times. It takes reflection and contemplation, self-discipline. One must be honest with oneself, and that's not easy. You have to have patience and understanding, and when you can, seek God. But the reward of having an inner life, which no outside storm or evil turn of fortune can touch, is, it seems to me, a very great one.
That was William L. Shirer, father of 2 children, Connecticut farmer, and a reporter recently turned novelist. But most of all, a citizen of integrity, who believes that even in these anxious times, men will not only survive but progress if they don't break faith with themselves.
Night
Hi, this is Randy Stone. I cover the night beat for the Chicago Star. Stories start in many different ways. This one started with a secret that ended with the river.
Night Beat, starring Frank Lovejoy as Randy Stone.
To most people, nightlife in Chicago means slumming in the honky-tonks, a fast tour of the taverns, or a ringside table at the Chez Paris. To me, it's more than that. Nightlife is made up of the stories that happen in the lives of ordinary people that wouldn't happen in the light of day, and I've got headlines to prove it. It's the time when darkness can hide the ugliness of dirt and misery, or the gloom can make it worse. Those same shadows that are a big help to Cupid can be a cover for crime. And some little thing that today caused fear, tonight can build into despair. This was a night for driving, cool and clear with a suggestion of spring. It was dusk when I started what I intended to be a short drive, but it was late when I turned back to town. I hadn't spotted a story and none had caught up with me. At Oak Street Beach, where Lakeshore Drive turns and Michigan Avenue begins, I quit kidding myself that I could find the story on wheels and headed to the paper to park my car. I was just approaching the bridge when I saw the girl, standing on the rail, her arms held rigid at her sides. I jammed the brakes and stopped within 20 feet of where she stood, and then, as I opened the door, she jumped. Hey! I ran to the rail and vaulted over into the icy river. The girl was nowhere in sight.
Hello!
And then she came up so close that her shoulder brushed against me. I grabbed her and started for the bank.
Let me alone. Let me alone.
Look, lady, let's get out of the water.
Let me alone, please. Please let me alone.
You know what they teach in life-saving? If the victim resists, no one has to get rougher. Come on.
No.
A little farther. A little more. There. Now climb up.
Oh.
Climb up. There, that's better.
Why did you do it?
Why did you do it?
They know.
You know what? What are you talking about?
They know my secret. They know my secret.
You can tell me about it in the car. Looks like I'm going your way. We stumbled up the bank and onto the bridge. People were starting to gather at the rail. I put the girl in the front seat of my car, and I pulled away fast. I hated carrying this now. The girl huddled over against the door, shivering. She didn't make a sound until we crossed the bridge. And she began to cry. Want to tell me about it?
All right, you've been a hero. Why don't you let me alone?
Look, I'm only trying to make it easier for you. Strangely enough, when you try to take your own life, it becomes a matter for the police.
Oh, no.
Does that frighten you?
I don't want to see the police.
And they want to see you?
Why don't you mind your own business and leave me alone?
I want to help you.
No one can help me. No one.
Nothing's ever that bad. Just seems like it.
That's easy to say about somebody else.
Well, I know it wasn't very original, but neither is jumping off a bridge.
Are you a detective?
No, I'm just a guy.
Why did you go in after me?
Oh, I saw you jump just as I drove up. Reflex, maybe. I was in the water before I had time to think.
I guess I do owe you something.
Well, now that's more like it. I'll settle for a cup of hot coffee and some dry clothes.
I can make the coffee. I don't know about the dry clothes. Maybe the janitor can find you some. It's quite a trade. A cup of coffee for my life. One of us is getting gypped.
She talked after that, and I could tell it was to keep me from asking questions. I couldn't make her out. If she was still angry, she didn't show it. It was a reaction I'd never seen before. She wasn't happy or unhappy. It seemed more that... Well, did you ever see anyone who was resigned to living? I drove to the address she gave me on Walton Street. It was a better-than-average apartment house, a good district. No clues there to suicide. She even joked a little as we reached the front door.
Sorry, I must have left my bag in the river. Oh, the janitor let us in.
Must be pretty exclusive here.
I hadn't noticed it. Why do you say that?
Only 3 names on all those letterboxes.
Well, that's all there are. Wanda Rhodes, that's me, and Miss Henrietta Dietz. Etta lives across the hall. And Judson. He died 7 months ago.
Then there are only 2 people living in this big building?
Well, there's the manager, but he's hardly ever here, and the janitor.
Well, maybe you haven't heard there's a housing shortage in Chicago. Don't tell me the house is haunted.
No, I guess not.
I don't get it.
What do you want?
Oh, let us in, Lucky. I lost my key.
What happened to you, Miss Rhodes? You're all wet.
Oh, she had an accident. She was walking on the pier, and she slipped.
Oh, this is...
Randy Stone.
Yes, he helped me out. Could you find Mr. Stone some other clothes?
I need something dry to wear home. I'll bring them back.
I don't know.
Well, anything will do as long as it's dry. Here's a deposit. If I return your clothes, you can keep it as rent.
Well, all right. Walking on piers at night, bringing home strange men, borrowing clothes.
Are you feeling better?
I'm beginning to, Mr. Stone.
Randy,
All right, Randy. Let's get that coffee, huh?
All the comforts of home. What is it, Wanda? What is it?
Look, in lipstick on the mirror.
I know you're sick.
Oh, it's staring.
All right, easy, baby, easy. Sit down here with your back to it. That's better. Now, what's it all about?
I can't tell you everything.
Well, tell me what you can. It'll do you good.
All right, I'll try. At first, it was typewritten notes.
What do they say?
That.
I know your secret?
Yes.
Go on.
The first one was yesterday. No, the day before. It was slipped under the door.
Wasn't signed, of course.
Oh, no, none of them were.
How many notes have you had?
I don't know. They were everywhere under the door in my mailbox. I even found one in the laundry.
Say anything about it to anyone?
Oh, no. Not to you. Oh, you don't understand.
Yeah, I think I understand. Who else knows about this secret?
No one. No one here in Chicago.
What else happened other than the notes?
There were the sounds. But I can't be sure about that.
What sounds?
I may have imagined it. The notes got on my nerves, I guess. I began to hear things, boards creaking, footsteps. I'd hear something outside in the hall. When I'd open the door, there'd be nothing there.
Imagination can do strange things.
I tried going out to get it off my mind, but that made it worse. I dreaded coming home. I knew what I'd find.
You let those notes strike?
Then there was the phone. There was no mistake about that. That began late this afternoon. Hello? 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 Hello, who is this? Oh, ring. Go ahead. Ring your head off. Hello. Hello. Oh. Look, what are you trying to do? I'll fix you. I'll leave the receiver off the hook. There. That'll settle that. All the crazy things. Well, ring. Go ahead. See if you can ring now. Oh. Hello.
This is the service operator. Is your receiver off the hook?
Well, yes.
Are you using this line?
Well, no, but you see...
Then I must ask you to hang up your receiver.
Operator, let me explain. My phone keeps ringing. When I answer, there's no one there.
There is a party waiting for your line.
What? Is it a man or a woman?
I'm sorry, we cannot give out that information. Will you please replace your receiver and see if your number can be dialed?
Oh, all right. Hello? Hello? Oh.
Number, please.
Oh, I want the service operator, please.
I will ring the service department. I am ringing. Service operator.
Oh, operator, something has got to be done about this phone.
What is your trouble, madam?
Well, I just talked to you. You made me hang up my receiver.
Oh, that must have been another operator. If you will tell me your trouble, I will have it checked.
Look, my phone keeps ringing and ringing and ringing, and when I answer it, there's no one there. I can't stand it. My nerves are shot as it is. I can't stand it, I tell you.
Well, the trouble may be in your phone.
Well, of course it's in my phone. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
If the trouble is in the instrument, it cannot be checked until morning.
Morning? Well, what am I supposed to do until then? I can't stand here and listen to this thing ring all night.
We will send a serviceman as soon as we can.
Yes, you just do that. But until he gets here, this receiver stays off the hook.
I'm sorry, madam. You cannot do that.
Why not? Just see if you can stop me. I'm sorry, madam. You cannot do that. Who does she think she is? Oh, hello.
This is the service operator.
What do you want now?
Is your receiver off the hook?
Yes, my receiver is off the hook. You know it is. I told you I was going to leave my receiver off, and that's what I'm going to do.
I'm sorry, you cannot do that.
Can't I? Well, who's going to stop me, I'd like to know.
Your number is on a 4-party line. When your receiver is up, it stops the service on all the lines. I must insist that you replace your receiver.
And what will you do if I don't?
It's my duty to see that the lines are open. I will have to keep ringing until you do.
Oh! Hello! 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 The phone kept ringing and ringing until I guess I went a little crazy. I grabbed my coat and ran down the hall. When I got to the front door, I found a note pasted on the glass. I know your secrets. I don't know just what happened after that. I remember running and that cold water.
Is there someone who would really want to harm you?
Yes. I don't know.
All right, we'll see. You should be getting out of those wet clothes. Come on now. Find something warm and dry.
Oh, what about you?
Well, does that answer your question? I think that's my tailor now. Now go in and change and knock before you come back. Yeah, just like that.
Oh.
Here's some clothes.
Oh, you must be the man from Sears.
Oh.
What's that?
There's something you can do for me, Pop.
My name's... They call me Lucky. What is it you want?
I want the names and present addresses of some of the tenants who used to live here.
What do you want that for?
I want to ask them why they moved from here.
What business is it of yours?
No, I'm just curious.
Oh, that ain't in my department.
Uh-huh. Would this help you find that information?
Sure easy with your money, ain't you? But put it away. It won't do you no good. First place, I don't know where they moved. Second place, I can tell you why. I go myself and I had any place to move.
Well, why did they move?
Because this is a crazy house, that's why. People walking around all hours, peeping and prying.
Mm-hmm. You wouldn't be meaning that for me, would you?
No, for you. Wandering all over they was. Top floor, this floor, even in the basement. I saw them looking and searching.
Searching for what?
I ain't a-saying.
Tell me what you mean, Pop. Lucky. You can tell me about it.
There ain't nothing more I'm going to say except this. Just heed, mister, you don't get in somewhere you can't get out of alive.
You are listening to Night Beat, starring Frank Lovejoy as Randy Stone.
There I stood in a strange apartment, wringing wet, with an armful of shabby, faded clothes, and a door slammed in my face. Well, I wonder what that was all about. Must be as nutty as a candy bar. Just heed, mister, you don't... Yeah.
Can I come in now?
Oh, not yet.
Has Lucky gone yet?
Yeah.
Who are you talking to?
Oh, myself. It's getting me, too. Okay, come on in.
What's getting you too, Randy?
This house. Next, I'll be hearing things.
You don't believe me?
Oh, sure. I believe most of it happened. The rest was the product of fear and panic. What about this Henrietta, what's her name?
Etta? What about her?
Think she'd know anything?
If she doesn't, it's not her fault. She tries to keep an eye on everything.
Well, maybe I should get my stories from her. That's a gal I want to see. Come on.
Not me. I wouldn't be caught dead.
Yeah. All right, you make some coffee. I'll be back. I stepped across the hall, rang the buzzer. There was no answer. I rang again several times. I knocked, and I waited. And then I heard it. Sounded like someone in trouble, someone moaning. I put my shoulder to the door. At the same time, I tried the knob. The door opened to my touch, and I almost fell into the room. There in the center of the floor swayed a little white-haired lady, and she was singing. In her hand, she held a typewritten note. When she saw me, she smiled pleasantly.
Hello?
I'm sorry to break in like this. I rang.
Well, come in.
I see you got a note, too.
What?
That note.
This. Oh, yes, isn't it exciting? Here, see?
I know your secret.
What?
I know your secret.
Speak up, young man. Don't be afraid of me.
I know your secret.
Oh, you do? Then you must be the one who sent this.
Do you have one?
Oh, dear. Just a minute while I fasten my aid. Now, what did you say?
Do you have one?
You needn't shout, young man. I can hear perfectly well. Now, what is it you want to borrow? Do I have one what?
Do you have a secret?
A secret? I thought you said you knew.
Look, let's start over. Now, I walked in. You were holding a typewritten note in your hand which said, I know your secret. I read the note. I did not send it. That clear?
Why, yes, it seems so to me. What is it you don't understand?
Dietz. Miss Dietz, do you have a secret?
Young man, I am 60. That is 58. I taught school for more than 25 years. I am not deformed nor disfigured. There are those who even thought me attractive. Is it so hard to believe that at some time in my life there has occurred one event that could be called my secret?
Well, has there?
Not that I can think of.
I should have known better. All right, thank you, Miss Dietz. I'm afraid you can't help me after all.
Well, try. Ask me something.
All right, okay. Yes. Once more. What can you tell me about the tenants who were here, the last ones to move?
Oh, I can tell you plenty. Now, there was that Mr. Taylor. He was a traveling man, and you know how traveling men are.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Then there was that Mrs. May. That one, she spent a fortune on psychiatrists, but that didn't keep her from drinking alone. You know, she would draw the shades. She said it was her eyes. And she would come out for 3 or 4 days.
Do you know why they moved?
No, I don't. I know where they moved, though. Yes, I have it right here. There, here you are.
Thank you, yes, thank you.
Now, let me tell you about them.
No, thank you, Miss Dietz. I know when I've had enough. Wanda had coffee made when I got back to her apartment. It was strong and hot. Wanda sipped and watched me. I drank 1 cup and I started on another.
See her?
Yeah. Why didn't you tell me?
I tried to.
I feel like I'm playing hopscotch.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Oh, this whole thing is out of my line. I'm pulling out of it.
Oh, well, that's just dangerous.
Now, wait a minute. This is a matter for the police.
I don't want the police to know anything about it.
And I say that they should. If you've committed a crime and you're hiding, go to them and get it over. If not, they have detectives who can clear this up.
No. I haven't broken any law. But there'd be publicity. I've seen it happen before. Pictures, names in the papers.
Okay. All right. It's your ball game. We'll play your rules. I'll go see what I can find out from the ones that moved.
You are going to help me?
Sure, babe, sure. Promise me you'll stay right here, hmm?
Oh, I won't try it again. Once was enough.
I started with the nearest ex-tenant, Mr. Taylor. He answered my second ring. He was wearing pajamas and street shoes. His body was moving, but his mind wasn't.
Yeah, what do you want?
Mr. Taylor?
Yeah, I'm Taylor.
May I come in?
Oh, sure, come in. What do you want?
I want to ask you about the Walton apartments.
Walton? Who are you?
Why did you leave the Walton apartments, Mr. Taylor?
What are you getting at?
Did you receive threatening notes?
Yeah, typewritten. What do you know about them?
Was that why you left? Because someone knew too much?
Take off, mister. I'm not buying.
Were there phone calls, too? Calls when no one answered?
You don't know when to quit, do you? First notes, then phone calls, now in person. So you're the one.
The one what? One that drove you out?
Proud of that, aren't you? You're pretty busy with that typewriter and that phone. Well, now I'll take my turn.
Wait a minute. You got that wrong.
Oh, you're the one who got it wrong, mister. I shouldn't have moved in the first place.
I didn't write those notes.
Yeah, I suppose somebody sent you. Well, I don't care which way it is. I got a message you can return.
Now, listen to me.
Listen long enough. I listened to that telephone, remember?
I did not do...
You want to back out. Should have thought of that before you rang my bell in the middle of the night.
I'm trying to help.
Help? Oh, it's a new one. I know what you want. Well, this is what you're going to get.
Will you let me explain?
Sure. Come back any time. We'll talk about secrets.
For a traveling man, Taylor had a good right. I don't know what he sold, but it must have been heavy, for his arm was in good condition. When I came to, I was lying in the hall in front of his door like a watchdog. I was convinced that Taylor was not interested in my explanations, so I went to see Mrs. May. I knocked several times at her door before it opened a little way. She looked at me and started to close the door again. I stopped her with my foot. She was in cream and curlers. I could have chinned myself on her breath.
What do you want?
I want to talk to you about the Walton apartments.
I don't know anything about them. Who are you?
I'm a reporter, Chicago Star.
No, I don't know you. You get out before I call the police.
I wouldn't do that, Mrs. May.
Why?
The Walton apartments, remember? The Walton apartments. Why did you move?
There's no law against it. What business is that of a reporter?
Did you ever receive threatening notes or phone calls?
No, I just wanted to move. That's all. So I did.
Mrs. May, I know your secret.
You're the one that sent those notes. You're the one that rang me all day and all night. What do you want with me? You can't blackmail me. I'll go to the police. I'll put a stop to this. Yeah, I'll put a stop to this.
So you did receive typewritten notes?
Man, not the papers. I'll do anything you say, but don't print anything in the papers. What do you want?
Mrs. May,
I'll pay anything, only don't tell my secret. And all the time, I thought it was her. She watched me all the time.
I was ashamed of what I'd done, but it was the quickest way, and there wasn't much time. I apologized for the ruse and the shock it had given her. When her alcoholic brain finally understood what I was saying, she turned her back and started for a tray of bottles on the table. I used her phone and called Wanda.
No, don't call
Wanda.
anymore. I'll do
What?
anything, but only please don't call anymore.
Wanda, it's Randy Stone. Everything's all right. I'll be right over. Mrs. May didn't hear me when I left. Wanda was near collapse when I reached her apartment. Her phone had rung almost constantly since I left her, and it was still ringing.
Randy, that phone's driving me crazy.
All right, let it
I
ring.
can't stand it. I can't stand it. I gotta get out of here.
Then maybe that would be better. I'll take you to a hotel. You can stay there the rest of the night. Pick up your things tomorrow.
No, I've got to get out of this house. I won't live here with just a loony old woman and a snooping janitor.
Okay, baby, okay. I'll ring for your trunks.
The house phone? Use the house phone over there.
Okay. Do I press a button?
No, just lift receiver up. He'll answer.
I guess he isn't there. Oh, Pop, it's Randy Stone. I'm in Miss Rhodes' apartment. Will you bring up her trunk? She's moving out tonight. Okay, Lucky.
That phone, I can't stand it. I've got to answer it, Randy. It stopped. Randy, it stopped.
Yeah. It nearly had me stopped. Sometimes you look right at a thing and you never see it. It was there from the very beginning, but it was too easy, and I refused to see it. I met Lucky at the door and helped him carry the trunk into Wanda's apartment, and I closed the door behind us.
What's that for? Why'd you shut the door? There's another trunk out there.
We won't be needing it, Lucky.
But you said...
She's changed her mind. She's not leaving tonight.
Well, but you said she was moving.
Why do you want to drive the tenants to move?
I don't do nothing. It was them, the people, around at all hours, peeping and prying.
Are you hiding something, Lucky?
You've been snooping, too, just like the others. I saw them down there, and you, too, Miss Rhodes, trying to find out where I hid it.
I don't know what you mean.
You can't fool me. You found out about it. I saw you snooping in the basement, pretending you was doing your laundry. I know you want to steal it from me.
I've never stolen anything in my life. I don't know what you're talking about.
What did you steal, Lucky? What did you steal and hide in the basement?
I didn't steal it. I found it.
Found it?
Well, it was the same thing as finding it. It was in that suitcase Mr. Judson stored here when he come back from the war. It was loot. It weren't his. He stole it. I didn't.
What was it, Lucky?
A bag of jewels. A plain old canvas bag of jewels. Oh, they were so pretty. I never had nothing so pretty before.
If you took them from his case, that's stealing.
But I didn't. The case got knocked off in the basement and come open. He never come back. He was killed in that plane crash. That makes it mine. Now, don't it the same as I find it.
You were the one that was phoning me?
Sure. I knew if I could scare you off, you'd quit snooping. And I would have, too, if that nosy newspaper guy hadn't butted in.
But how did you know about my secret?
I didn't.
Then why did you type those notes?
I knew you had a secret. Everybody has one. And if you thought I knew about it, you wouldn't tell about me.
You didn't know anything about Wanda?
No. When I tried the first time, the people moved, and that gave me the idea, so I've been doing it ever since. Lucky. That's what they call me, Lucky.
And now your luck has run out.
No, it ain't. This was in the bag, too.
A gun?
Yes, Miss Nose. Your loaded gun. Hey, what's that?
It's the phone. I'll take care of that gun now.
Oh, no, not again.
All right, baby. I'll answer. Hello.
We have been able to check your line. We cannot locate your trouble.
Oh, yes. Thanks a lot, operator. You can cancel the complaint. We've located the trouble right here. Oh, an operator. Get me the police. story of what can happen when guilt starts eating a man's insides. He didn't intend to hurt all those people, but he did. He just happened to hit a sore spot they all had. And Wanda's secret was something very small, but she'd made it important. That's not so hard to do. You can hold a dime in front of your eye and black out a whole city. Pretty good writer once wrote, "Thus doth our conscience make cowards of us all." Yeah, I guess everybody has a secret, something they'd rather nobody else knew. That is, everybody except you and me. Yeah? Copy, boy.
Night Beat, a new dramatic series, stars Frank Lovejoy as Randy Stone. Tonight's script was written by Joel Hunt. Night Beat is edited by Larry Marcus and directed by Warren Lewis. Music is by Frank Worth. The part of Wanda was played by Joan Banks. Others in tonight's cast were Jeff Corey, Martha Wentworth, Betty Lou Gerson, Colleen Collins, and Will Wright. Frank Lovejoy will next be seen in Milton Sperling's production, Rock Bottom, released by Warner Brothers. Listen next week at this same time and every week as Randy Stone searches through the city for the strange stories waiting for him in the darkness. The stories that come out of the shadows to find their way into Night Beat. Richard Diamond, Private Detective, is now heard on Wednesdays. Yes, now on Wednesdays, hear Dick Powell as Richard Diamond, Private Detective. You'll hear action-packed entertainment as glib Rick Diamond fights his way to fame, fortune, and a red-headed girlfriend over most of these NBC stations. For $100 a day in expenses, Richard Diamond tackles adventure that will hold your interest right up to the smashing climax. Be sure to tune for the thrill-packed action drama that is yours for the listening every Wednesday on Richard Diamond, Private Detective. Now on Wednesday night, NBC brings you a trio of great adventure and mystery shows. Mr. District Attorney, The Big Story, and Richard Diamond. Hear them all Wednesday night on NBC. Now it's Brian Donlevy and Dangerous Assignment on NBC.
This I believe. It sometimes happens that men in high places forget a sense of humility. William Orville Douglas, Associate Justice of the United States Supreme Court, is not one of these. Justice Douglas was born in Minnesota 53 years ago, reared in the wide-open spaces of the far West. Lawyers can be stuffy at times, but here is one of the nation's most brilliant students of the law who cherishes a kinship with nature. He fishes, hunts, climbs mountains, and probes into the back country of distant lands to learn how simple men live and think. His own life has been a turbulence of challenge and hard work. Now, Mr. Justice Douglas shares with us his convictions.
During moments of sadness or frustration, I often think of a family scene years ago in the town of Yakima, Washington. I was about 7 or 8 years old at the time. Father had died a few years earlier. Mother was sitting in the living room talking to me, telling me what a wonderful man Father was. She told me of his last illness and death. She told me of his departure from Cleveland, Washington to Portland, Oregon, for what proved to be a fatal operation. His last words to her were these: "If I die, it will be glory. If I live, it will be grace." I remember how those words puzzled me. I could not understand why it would be glory to die. It would be glory to live. That I could understand. But why it would be glory to die was something I did not understand until later. Then one day, in a moment of great crisis, I came to understand the words of my father. If I die, it will be glory. If I live, it will be grace. That was his evening star, a faith in a power greater than man. That was the faith of our fathers, a belief in a God who controlled man and the universe. It manifested itself in different ways to different people. It was written by scholars and learned men into dozens of different creeds. But riding high above all secular controversies was a faith in one who was the Creator, the giver of life, the omnipotent. Man's age-long effort has been to be free. Throughout time, he has struggled against some form of tyranny that would enslave his mind or his body. So far in this century, 3 epidemics of it have been let loose in the world. We can keep our freedom through the increasing crises of history only if we are self-reliant enough to be free. Dollars, guns, and all the wondrous products of science and the machine will not be enough. This night thy soul shall be required of thee. These days I see graft and corruption reach high into government. These days I see people afraid to speak their minds because someone will think they are unorthodox and therefore disloyal. These days I see America identified more and more with material things, less and less with spiritual standards. These days I see America drifting from the Christian faith, acting abroad as an arrogant, selfish, greedy nation, interested only in guns and in dollars, not in people and their hopes and aspirations. These days the words of my father come back to me more and more. We need his faith, the faith of our fathers. We need a faith that dedicates us to something bigger and more important than ourselves or our possessions. Only if we have that faith will we be able to guide the destiny of nations in this, the most critical period of world history. This I believe.
That was Associate Justice William Orville Douglas of the Supreme Court with a message of faith for the future.
The makers of Camel cigarettes present Dick Powell as Richard Diamond, private detective. Of a cigarette is in the smoking. Steady smoking.
Smoke only Camels for 30 days and enjoy Camel's rich, full flavor, a flavor that no other cigarette has. You'll see how mild Camels are pack after pack, how well they agree with your throat week in and week out.
You'll soon see why Camel is by far America's most popular cigarette. Why Camel is the steady smoke for you. Here transcribed is Richard Diamond, Private Detective, starring Dick Powell.
Diamond Detective Agency for mayhem of distinction. Ooh.
Yes.
Oh.
No. Ooh.
Why?
Mayhem of distinction.
I said that.
And I said ooh.
Was it that bad?
Mm-hmm.
Say it.
Diamond Detective Agency for mayhem of distinction. See?
Yeah. Well, what am I going to do?
About what?
About slogans. Gets tough after a while.
How about when I call you up, I give the slogan instead?
Well, I don't know.
What do you mean you don't know?
Well, I'll have to give you an audition.
All right.
I need a new one every morning.
Fine.
Starting tomorrow morning.
I'll call you back the minute I have one.
Bless your heart.
I'm going to see you tonight.
Sure, about 7.
Now, I'll call you back the minute I have one.
Diamond?
Well...
What?
Can I talk to you?
Sure, come on in.
Rick?
Somebody just came in.
Oh.
Bye.
Bye.
Wow. Been a long time, Tiny.
Yes.
What can I do for you?
I got a proposition.
You do, huh?
Yeah. How'd you like to make yourself $2,500?
Tiny, I like money, but when a guy like you has a proposition...
It's on the up and up, Diamond.
Well, if it is, it's the first time.
Well, all you got to do is listen. If you don't like it, you don't take it.
For $2,500, I'll listen.
You read the papers this morning?
Yeah?
Al Brenner skipped.
I read that.
Yeah, Al Brenners was supposed to appear before the grand jury.
They had enough on him to put him away for 20 years.
There's your reward.
$5,000.
Yep.
Uh-huh. $2,500 would be half of that, wouldn't it?
Just half.
Where is he? That's what you wanted me to listen to, isn't it?
But I'm not sure I know where he is. I just think.
You want me to make sure?
Then I want you to help. I got the lead, but I don't want to turn him in.
You know what happens if the boys find out you tipped me?
Well, I give it a lot of thought.
Look, Tiny, I gotta be honest. I don't like you.
Well, that's okay.
I never did.
Well, I done you a few favors when you was a cop.
You came out all right, and I still didn't like you. I don't like professional stoolies.
Well, okay, I'm not.
And especially, I don't like one for a partner.
Well, then take the whole $5,000 and pay me for my services.
No. If I can do Walt Levinson a favor and bring in Brenners and still make $2,500, we'll split it right down the middle.
It's a deal?
As long as I don't have to see you too much.
Now, this is what I've got. There's a guy named Stringer. You heard of him?
I don't think so.
Well, he's not a local boy. He's an import. Used to work for Brenners back in St. Louis, 1929-30. When Brenners moved east, he stayed and did himself some good.
That's before my time.
Well, Stringer's in town.
So what?
I hear Brenners ain't even skipped town. I hear he's hiding out right in town somewhere until the heat cools.
Well, that'd be smart. He knows they'd cover everything in and out.
Well, Brenners skipped yesterday morning. The law didn't spot it until the afternoon. I heard about Stringer, and I started thinking. Brenners needs a contact. He's smart, and he wouldn't trust any of his local boys.
So Stringer's it?
Yeah.
That's all you've got?
No. I followed Stringer last night, and I lay 10 to 1 he saw Brenners.
Where?
You meet me tonight at the corner of Maple and Palm.
Maple and Palm?
Long Island.
Well, what's out there?
You'll be there. I'll show you.
Oh, look, Tiny,
I'm just playing it safe, Diamond. I tell you everything. You could make the score alone, and I couldn't open the mouth.
Okay, Tiny. What time?
8 o'clock.
Well, I'd made a deal with Tiny Gillespie. Half of a $5,000 reward for Al Brenners, one of the biggest hoodlums in the business. I'd known Tiny for a lot of years. He was a professional stoolie who knew the underworld like the inside of his shirt and didn't have a friend to his name. It was dangerous doing business with Tiny, but $2,500 can take the edge off a lot of danger. I went home, changed my clothes, and was about to pick up the phone to call Helen. Yeah?
I called your office.
Oh, hi, dear.
How's this? Diamond Detective Agency. If you can't get Sherlock or Perry Mason for $100 a day, I start chasing.
Helen.
Pretty good, huh?
Oh, it's great.
I thought so.
Just great.
Why'd you leave your office so early?
I was just going to call you.
Rick.
I can't make it until later, sweetheart. I'm sorry.
But I started such a wonderful dinner.
And I started making $2,500.
$2,500?
Yes, dear.
Well, you just take your time. The dinner's not that important.
I knew you'd understand.
Now, work hard and don't worry about me. I'll see you when you solve the case.
And get the $2,500.
Rick, you don't think that I'm only interested in the money?
Not in $1 million. Years. Because Helen was so interested in my welfare, I managed to borrow her convertible, and by 8 o'clock I was parked at the corner of Maple and Palm on Long Island. It was easy to understand why Tiny had picked the spot to meet. It was as dark as a mine shaft, and there wasn't a house within a half mile. I lit a Camel, sat back to wait. It got to be 8:15, and Tiny still hadn't arrived. By 8:30, I was beginning to wonder if he ever would. And by 9, I was sure he wouldn't. I turned the car back for town, kicked myself all the way there. A guy like Tiny you couldn't trust, and I was feeling a little more than guilty for getting involved. By the time I hit Broadway, I was madder than a wild bull with a hot foot. I turned right, drove down to the river in a dive called the Purple Garter, a hangout for winos, bums, and a stoolie named Tiny Gillespie. There were only a few customers in the room and a bartender named Sampson that I'd done business with before.
Hello, Mr. Diamond.
Oh, hello, Sampson. I'm looking for Tiny Gillespie.
Ain't here. How about a drink?
No, I'm not interested in a long illness. Have you seen Tiny?
Earlier.
What's earlier?
Around 7. He left around 7.
Know where he was going?
He didn't leave no forwarding address. What's he done?
I was just looking for him. If you see him, tell him that, will you?
I'll tell him. Oh. Hey, friend of yours.
Well.
Hi, Rick. Get the skids?
What are you doing? Looking for chocolate balls?
Hello, Samson.
Hi, Lieutenant.
Not thirsty.
You guys are turning into snobs.
You don't give us much choice, Samson. It's that or a stomach bump.
I shoulder your insults with complete disinterest.
Who are you looking for, Fatty?
Who says I am?
Well, you're wearing that official frown. Prune Brow Levinson.
Samson, you seen Tiny Gillespie?
Oh, Tiny's getting popular.
What do you mean, ho-ho?
Just ho-ho.
What do you mean he's getting popular?
Mr. Diamond was just asking for him.
Ho-ho.
That's what I meant.
What did you want him for, Rick?
He was supposed to meet me.
Why?
Just to talk.
About what?
Oh, stop acting like a cop. What's it all about?
I'm just in checking on Tiny's activities prior to 8 o'clock tonight.
And just what did Tiny do prior to 8 o'clock tonight?
For one thing, he got himself killed.
Before we continue with Richard Diamond, here are a few words about smoking enjoyment. For proof of the mildness of Camels, the makers of Camels went to noted throat specialists. These doctors made weekly examinations of the throats of hundreds of people with normal throats from coast to coast who smoked only Camels for 30 days. After making 2,470 examinations, the throat specialists reported not one single case of throat irritation due to smoking Camels. Make your own 30-day Camel test, the thorough, sensible test of cigarette mildness. Smoke only Camels for 30 days and enjoy the rich, full flavor of America's most popular cigarette. See how mild Camels are, how well they agree with your throat, pack after pack, week after week. You'll soon see that Camel is the steady smoke for you.
How mild can a cigarette be? Make the Camel 30-day test, and you will see. Smoke Camels and see.
And now back to Richard Diamond, Private Detective, starring Dick Powell.
It all started when a professional stool pigeon named Tiny Gillespie thought he knew the whereabouts of Al Brenners, missing defendant in a grand jury investigation. Tiny had agreed to meet me at 8 o'clock that night, but he never showed up. And when I went looking for him, I ran into Lieutenant Walt Levinson, 5th Precinct Police. Walt told me Tiny had been killed. We went down to the station where we talked more about it.
He was killed sometime between 7:30 and 8.
Where?
About a half mile from where you say you were supposed to meet him.
How?
Beaten to death.
What?
That's right. Somebody really worked him over. Wait a minute, I got a medical report here, son. Yeah, here it is. Broken back, fracture of the femur, fracture of...
Okay.
He was a mess. Want a cookie, Bright Eyes?
No, thanks, Fatty. Help yourself. Is that part of your diet?
Yeah. Rips the weight off you.
That's obvious. Tell me, Skinny, you ever a hood named Stringer?
Stringer?
St. Louis. Worked for Al Brenners in 1929 and 30.
Well, what's he got to do with it?
Tiny's been following him. Tiny thought Stringer was working as a contact for Brenners.
Tiny say Brenners were still in town?
He thought so. He said he followed the Stringer someplace, and he believed he met with Brenners.
Rick, you ought to know better than to get mixed up with a guy like Tiny.
You ought to double date with my conscience.
I take better care than you do. Want some coffee?
Yeah, black.
Sugar?
The usual, 12 lumps.
Listen, sweetie pie, if Brenners is close and Tiny was supposed to meet you a half mile from where he was killed...
It's a good bet Brenners could still be in that area.
Unless he skipped again and found out Tiny had him spotted.
Well, he knows he'd never get out of town now, and I don't think he's too worried about killing Tiny. I don't think he'd ever figured Tiny would tell anybody what he knew.
He knows Tiny's done business with the law.
And he knows that the law would have come instead of Tiny.
That's right.
I think Brenners is worried, but if he's got a good hideout, I think he'll stay put.
Here's the lab report on Tiny. Scrapings from the bottom of his shoes indicate fertilizer and new grass. Tiny's body was lying at the bottom of a gully. Nothing but dirt and clay.
Any houses near?
Not for miles.
Show me on the map where the body was found.
Sure. Right there.
I was supposed to meet him there. Maple and Palm.
Sure isn't much in that section.
Tiny couldn't have been too far from me before he was killed. He wouldn't have picked Maple and Palm if it was very far from what he wanted to show me.
That makes sense, but they sure wouldn't dump his body too close to Brenner's hideout.
Okay. Maybe they drove him 5 or 10 miles. 5 or 10 miles in every direction from Maple and Palm.
Yeah, that's a lot of territory.
Yeah, I know. Well, you better start checking it. I've got a hunch he'll dig up Brenner's.
I'll put out an APB on this Stringer guy as soon as I check the records and talk to St. Louis for a description.
Fine. I'll see you later.
Where are you going?
To see if I can beat you to Brenner's.
Now, look, Bright Eye.
Oh, honey, with Tiny dead, there's a big old 5,000 all in one chunk. I'll let you know if I find Brenner's. I don't want the glory, just the loot. I left the station, climbed in the car, and a drive to a gas station where I filled up with gas and picked up a map of the Long Island section. Then I went back to my office and started checking the Long Island phone directory. I knew it would take me a week to find a new lawn, and Walt was already doing that, so I concentrated on something else. I looked for some place that might sell fertilizer and grass seed. There was one such place in that area, Hudson Garden Supplies, and there was a phone. I took a chance that maybe the owner or someone lived there and called it.
Yeah.
Is this the Hudson Garden Supply?
Huh?
Is this the Hudson Garden...
Yeah, who is this?
Well, who is this?
This is Hudson. Who is this?
My name's Diamond.
Well, what do you want? It's after 12.
Did you sell any fertilizer or grass seed in the last 2 or 3 weeks?
Are you kidding?
You do sell fertilizer?
Oh, look, wise guy.
Oh, come on. This is police business.
Police?
Lieutenant Walt Levinson, 5th Precinct.
I thought you said your name was...
Diamond. You want us to come out and pull you out of bed?
Oh, look, I'm sorry. It sounded like a gag.
Well, have you sold any fertilizer or grass seed in the last few weeks?
Oh, yeah, sell a lot of fertilizer. It's good fertilizer.
Any grass seed?
Yeah.
To an address in that area?
Yeah, a couple of weeks ago I sold a big load.
Who'd you sell it to?
Well, I don't remember the bill. I'll have to look it up.
Look it up.
Well, now?
Unless you want us to come out there and help you.
Well, okay. Hold the phone.
What a job.
Hello?
Yeah?
That grass seed went to 7788 Shoreham Drive.
What's the name on the bill?
The Hillview Rest Home.
You sell any other grass seed in the last week?
No, but it's a lot of flowers and plants and plenty of fertilizer.
You must love your work. I climbed back into the car and headed back for Long Island on 7788 Shoreham Drive. 40 minutes later, I pulled up on a lonely, dark road and turned the car lights out. The Hillview Rest Home stood out against the moon like a lonely castle. It was dark, except for a light in one of the wings, and the grounds were surrounded by a high fence. I got out of the car and started walking. I kept going until I found a section of fence that a man might climb and not be seen from the house. I went up and over, dropping down and stopping my fall with my hands. When I felt my hands, they were wet and covered with new grass. There were about 100 yards between the fence and the main building, and the moon reflected off the wet grass like a mirror. If anybody was watching from the house, I'd never make it without being seen. I bent as low as I could and ran about halfway and stopped, listening. It was like a bad dream, crouching under the moon, trying to make my breath come out slowly so it wouldn't show against the cold, and feeling like I wanted to dig a hole and hide right there, or better still, wake up. I started again, running low, looking from side to side, but never behind. I got to the main building and slammed myself against it. I stayed there until I caught my breath. Then I moved around to the front door and tried it. I got the surprise of my life. It was open. I found myself standing in a large room, dark except for a small red light burning over a door at the back. A staircase to my left led to the floors above, and there was another smaller room to my right that was black except for the shafts of moonlight slanting down through the barred windows. Barred windows and an open door. Something was wrong.
Don't move. Don't move.
He was behind me, probably waiting behind the door. When I came in, and with the door unlocked like that, I figured he had been expecting me.
If you turn around, I'll shoot you.
In that case, you'll pardon my back.
I'll take your gun.
I don't have one.
What would you call this?
Oh, that's really just a big cigarette lighter?
Yeah. Now your wallet.
Oh, look, what is this?
Richard Diamond, private detective. Yeah, a private detective.
Who may retire.
Yeah, I think I can guarantee it.
Did you spot me crossing the lawn?
When you climbed the fence, it set off an alarm.
Well, my car broke down. I thought
you
maybe...
could use the phone.
Yeah.
No, I'm afraid I don't believe you.
What is it, Barnes?
You better come down and see the private detective.
Turn on a light.
You had a gun.
Well.
You know?
Hello, Brenners. Yeah, he's a private cop, all right. Used to be a legit cop. How are you, Diamond? Surprised? I thought you skipped. You know I didn't. Tiny got to you, huh? Tiny?
I told you. We should have...
Shut up.
Look, you got to get out of here. I'll lose my whole business.
You're making enough off.
But now with this private detective and that man last night, no telling how many more.
How'd Tiny find me? I don't know who you're talking about, Brenners. I'm just as surprised at seeing you as... you lie.
Brenners, please. He might have told the police what he knows.
They'd be here by now if he had. You're going to be in a little trouble, hiding out a man who's wanted by the federal government.
He's right, Brenners. Whether he's trying to talk himself out of a jam or not, he's right.
Relax. When Stringer gets here, I'll leave.
Thank goodness.
In the meantime, you better take care of Diamond.
You mean like...
Yeah. The way you did with Tiny Gillespie.
No, but isn't there...
You don't want to lose this place, do you?
No.
And I don't want anybody around to talk about me. How come you worked Tiny over like that? Why didn't you just use your gun? You're in for a treat, Diamond. You're going to have a hard time working me over like that. Oh, we're not going to do a thing. Hey, better take him downstairs. Stringer should be here any minute.
Yeah, all right. Walk over to that door.
Nice seeing you again, Diamond. Yeah.
Open the door. Go on, I'll have to shoot you. Keep going. Down those stairs.
You're making a big mistake.
I have no choice.
State's evidence might get you off easy.
Oh, the murder charge?
Might get just life.
Yeah, I might not. Stop right there. Open the door and go on in.
Oh, now, look.
I'll shoot you right here.
Okay.
Alf. Alf.
I'm here. What is that?
I got somebody for you, Alf. Get in there.
Oh, now, look. I was locked in the basement, and there was someone else there with me. It was a man. His head was shaved clean, and his eyes were wild and staring. He was sitting in a corner, and as he pulled himself up, he looked at me, tipped his head to one side like he was listening to something.
I've got to take care of you, too, huh?
Then he was on his feet, shoulders hunched, and his arms hanging at his sides. And even bent over like that, he must have been 6.5 feet tall. He shuffled towards me like an ape, and I realized what it was that had given Tiny such a beating.
You're bigger than the last one. You're going to give me a little fight?
Easy, boy, easy. I put my back to the wall and kept circling him, but he seemed to enjoy watching me try to get away. He'd reach out, and when I'd duck, he'd smile a horrible mouthful of teeth and rub his hands together like a little kid with a new game. I kept moving, talking to him, trying to calm him down, but I knew there wasn't a chance. The basement was a solid 4 walls and the heavy locked door, and one of us would have to die before the night was over. The way things stood, it was pretty obvious who it was going to be, and if I kept running, I was going to get tired and die a lot quicker. I stopped.
Don't you want to play no more?
He looked almost unhappy, like he wanted to keep on playing and wasn't going to be able to. He started moving in again, and I kicked him as hard as I could in the stomach. He doubled over, and for a second I felt bad. Then he straightened and rushed me. He got his arms around me, and it was like being caught by a boa constrictor. The harder I fought, the tighter he squeezed. I started to pass out. Thought I heard shots. Then he picked me up over his head and threw me the length of the room. I tried to sit up, but I was too dazed. In the half-light, I watched him shuffle in, his arms swinging. He was so strong and didn't even know he was fighting a man. Just a doll that wouldn't play anymore, and he was going to break it in 1,000 pieces. He reached for me just when somebody on the other side of the door started shooting. The giant stopped as the bolt of the door was pulled back, and then he turned.
Rick!
You come to fight me, too?
Look out, boss.
Rick.
How'd you find me, Walt?
Located Stringer and tailed him. Saw Helen's car parked outside the fence. What is that thing over there?
Oh, just an animal. It used to be a man, I guess. That's the way Tiny got killed.
Ooh. How bad are you?
Oh, just shaken up. But another couple of minutes and...
Well, I'll give you a hand.
Thanks. You get Brenners?
Yeah, they're putting them in the car. Lean on me.
I'm okay. What was all the shooting outside the door? Oh, Barnes.
He didn't want to let me in.
Who told you I was down here?
The minute we came through the front door, Barnes headed down the stairs. I spotted him and went after him.
Oh, bless your little heart.
What are you going to do with that $5,000?
Oh, Walt, I'm going to buy you the best present you ever had in your life. You like it, dear?
Oh, it's a beautiful stove.
Well, it's really nothing.
Nothing?
Got the beast doing a summer safari in Africa.
No, but by Jove, this is mink.
What did you expect, old girl? Unborn meadow mouse?
No, but look here. There isn't a mink within 10,000 miles of Africa.
Come to think of it, he was rather winded. Now, don't laugh, old girl. That mink was the biggest animal I've ever seen. Stood 6 feet high and weighed 180. Couldn't kill him.
Well, then how did you ever get the stove?
Gave him a haircut.
Oh, no. Well, you sit right there and play the piano while I run upstairs and put on something that'll show off my stove.
All right, dear. What a memory.
Oh, baby, what I couldn't do with plenty of money and you. In spite of the worry that money brings, just a little filthy lucre buys a lot of things, and I can take you to places you'd like to go. But outside of that, I've no use for dough. It's the root of all evil, of strife and upheaval. But I'm certain, honey, that life could be sunny with plenty of money and you.
That was pretty.
Thank you. Ooh.
How do I look?
Oh, that mink never had it so good.
Are we going to dinner?
Right, dear. I'm going to buy you the fastest... Oh, I got it. Asher's Mink Farm.
Rick, your present just arrived.
Oh, I hope you like it, Walt.
I don't know how to thank you.
Well, it's nothing.
I know.
Wear it in good health, and I'll see you soon.
I'll never forget you for this, old man.
Bye.
What?
Mm-hmm. He loved his present.
Well, you got him a present, too.
But he saved my life. I bought him a beautiful cashmere uniform.
Cashmere
We
uniform?
couldn't get over it. Now, let's go, dear.
Rick,
Hmm?
you must have spent an awful lot of money.
For the people I love. I've still got about $1,500 left.
That's pretty good after taxes.
Taxes?
Rick,
Oh, give me petrol, give me petrol.
right there on the stand.
Oh,
Didn't you take out any withholding?
$5,000. $750 cashmere uniform. $27.50 meat stove. Take away. Take away. Take away.
Oh!
Ricky!
I owe the government $1,600.
Dick Powell will return in just a minute. Tens of thousands of doctors in all branches of medicine, in all parts of the country, were asked what cigarette they smoked. The brand named most was Camel. Yes, according to this nationwide survey, more doctors smoke Camels than any other cigarette. Enjoy Camels, the cigarette so many doctors enjoy. And say, friends, buy your camels by the carton, the handy, thrifty way. Yes, that way you always have camels when you want them.
How mild can a cigarette be? Smoke camels and see.
Here's Dick Powell with a special message.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, the hospitalized men of our armed forces like to know that they're not forgotten. Each week, the makers of camels send out thousands of packs of gift camels to these men. This week's camels go to Veterans Hospitals, Aspinwall, Pennsylvania, and Louisville, Kentucky. Tinker Air Force Hospital, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. To all hospitals operated by the Army for U.S. forces in Austria. Now until next week, enjoy camels. I always do.
Tonight's transcribed adventure of Richard Diamond was written and directed by Blake Edwards with music by Frank Worth. Virginia Gregg played the part of Helen Asher, and Alan Reed was Lieutenant Levinson. Others in the cast were Howard McNear, Ed Max, Jane Novello, and Joel Samuels. Be sure to listen to another great camel show, Vaughn Monroe and the Camel Caravan, every Saturday night.
The bite is out and the pleasure's in when you smoke Prince Albert.
The bite's out and the pleasure's in when you pack your pipe with America's largest selling smoking tobacco, Prince Albert. PA's Choice Tobacco is specially treated to ensure against tongue bite. Yes, with Prince Albert, the bite's out and the pleasure's in. And there's more tobacco in the pocket tin.
Listen next week for another exciting adventure of Richard Diamond, starring Dick Powell. This is your FBI. The official broadcast from the files of the FBI follows immediately. Stay tuned. This program came to you from Hollywood. This is the American Broadcasting Company.
This, I believe. William V. Griffin is a corporation executive and president of the English-speaking Union of the United States. From 1924 to 1944, he was assistant administrator of Lend-Lease, and later directed the British Empire branch of the Foreign Economic Administration. For his outstanding service, he was awarded a Presidential Certificate of Merit. Here is William Griffin's creed.
I believe in my fellow men, in their integrity, their basic fairness, and their innate desire to do the right thing for themselves and their fellows. In the past several decades, we have lost sight, I believe, of the fact that men are overwhelmingly honest and can be trusted. We need to restore our faith in our neighbors. We deal with them as though we had always to be on our guard. I live in a fox hunting community and ride horseback a good deal. My neighbors are always buying and selling horses. I, too, have bought and sold horses. I must confess that I would put horse dealers, amateurs and professionals alike, in a class apart. In horse trading, and like any other business I know, one must be on one's guard, even with friends. Caveat emptor. But in all other transactions, my friends are the essence of honesty. I dislike the destructive attitudes that have become fashionable in public and in private life, in politics, in the home, in the shop, and in the marketplace. Someone has said that it takes more muscular effort to frown than to smile. We need to smile more, to see the good side of men and to like it. In this I include myself. We need to play down the seamy side, which we are altogether too quick to magnify and to enjoy. I started supporting myself when I was 12 years old, which means I have been working for over 50 years. I've been lucky in my friends, business and social. I've gone through life having things done for me and doing things for others. I don't remember ever really having been let down. Disappointments, yes. Problems, yes. Failures, yes, a few. But I've never placed confidence in a person and been actually let down. I believe that we desperately need to change from destructive to constructive points of view. We need a movement, even a crusade, to make it fashionable to believe in one another, to build up instead of tearing down, to trust one another. We need to realize how lucky we in this country are and to appreciate this luck. To try to do better for oneself and one's family, not at the expense of the other fellow, but in cooperation with him. We need to live up to our undertakings with mind and heart. to do as much as we can on our jobs instead of coasting along, to work competently and honestly, to live up to our given word literally and spiritually. If the constructive side of man were appealed to, he would respond enthusiastically. Despite the uncertainties of the world situation, we are, I believe, on the threshold of a better life for our own citizens and for the countless millions in other lands. I believe all of us should count it a blessing to be able to help those millions. First of all, we should get ourselves in a more constructive frame of mind toward one another here at home, and then set about to see what we can do to bring to those less fortunate some of the good things we have all too often taken for granted. I believe I am my brother's keeper. I begin each day with a prayer that it may be a useful one, and end it with thanksgiving for having been allowed to live it. I pray not necessarily on my knees, but instinctively and as naturally as breathing and the beating of my heart. During each day, I thank heaven over and over that I'm allowed to live. I believe all of us should remember that God made man only a little less than the angels.
That was William V. Griffin, president of the English-speaking Union. He lives with his wife in Peapack, New Jersey.
Mr. District Attorney, starring David Bryan. Mr. District Attorney, champion of the people, defender of truth, guardian of our fundamental rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
And it shall be my duty as district attorney not only to prosecute to the limit of the law all persons accused of crimes perpetrated within this county, but to defend with equal vigor the rights and privileges of all its citizens. This is David Bryan. In a moment, we'll bring you another case from the files of Mr. District Attorney. But first, a word from our sponsor.
And now, here is our star, David Bryan, as Paul Garrett, Mr. District Attorney.
It has long been recognized that crime constitutes a disease in the bloodstream of democracy. A disease so serious that it can even threaten the life of a nation. Unless it is fought fearlessly at every turn, crime can build into itself an organization of such magnitude that it could conceivably put a stranglehold on our very way of life. On this particular morning, I was in my office carefully going over a series of reports. They all pointed in one direction. A serious crime wave was sweeping across our city. A crime wave that undoubtedly had behind it a well-organized criminal group. What is it, Miss Miller?
Phone call for you, Mr. Garrett. Tom Carter.
The Daily Clarion reporter?
Yes, he says it's extremely important that he talk to you.
I see. Put him on, please. Hello, this is the district attorney.
Mr. Garrett, I'm sure glad I cut you in. This'll knock you right out from under your hat. I'm just about certain I know who Mr. Big is.
Mr. Big?
Yeah, Mr. Big, believe it or not, Mr. Garrett. The big wheel of the mob.
Carter. Carter, what happened?
Venus. Venus.
Carter. Carter, can you hear me? Carter. Well, it's no use. Miss Miller.
Yes, Mr. Garrett?
Please have this call traced immediately and advise homicide.
Homicide?
Oh, and Miss Miller,
Yes, Mr. Garrett?
get hold of Harrington and have him follow through on this. I'm going to the office of the Daily Clarion and see what I can find.
All right, Mr. Garrett.
Come right in, Mr. Garrett. The receptionist told me you were coming up. Well, we feel quite honored to have the district attorney pay us a visit.
Well, this isn't exactly a visit, Mr. Harris. I'm after a little information.
I'll be glad to help.
Your newspaper has been conducting what you call a crime expose. I'd like some details as to the assignment of your reporter, Tom Carter.
Afraid I can't help you much on that, Mr. Garrett. You see, my city editor handles all the actual assignments. I'll get Walker in here. Herb, could you come into my office for a minute? Good. Walker will be right here. He knows everything about our operation.
I see. Mr. Harris, does the name Venus mean anything to you?
Venus? No, nothing more than the famous statue.
I'm afraid that's not the one.
Oh, come on in, Herb. You know Mr. Garrett, our district attorney?
How are you, Mr. Garrett? Glad to meet you, Mr. Walker.
Herb, the district attorney wants to know about Carter's work on the crime expose.
Well, Carter was put on roving assignment. We gave him a free hand. Tom wants it that way because of his underworld contacts.
So you wouldn't know where Carter might be working right now?
No, I'm afraid not.
Come in.
Harrington.
Hiya, Chief. Miss Miller told me you were here.
Mr. Harris, Mr. Walker, this is Len Harrington, my assistant.
How are you?
Harrington?
Oh, Chief, I have some news that I...
Well, that's all right, Harrington. You can talk.
Well, they found Carter's body. He was shot in the back. Dead.
What? Tom Carter killed?
Where did it happen?
A phone booth back of a service station uptown. No witnesses.
Oh, Tom Carter killed.
I can't believe it.
I was afraid this had happened. That's why I came here. We've got to put a stop to this terror, gentlemen, and soon. Mr. Walker, perhaps Carter's last expense account could give us a lead as to where he was working.
Well, that's very possible. I can let you see the records. Come with me, gentlemen. Mr. Harris is very upset. This is an awful blow. Carter was our top reporter. Now, here's the accounting office. Come right in. This is the current expense ledger. Let's see. There it is. Here's Carter's account.
Oh, thanks. Oh, Harrington, write down some of these places.
Yeah, sure, Chief. Hey, Club 711 seems to be a favorite hangout of Carter's.
He was certainly there often enough in the past 2 weeks.
That's Harry Trigo's joint, isn't it?
Yes. I'll drop down to the Club 711.
Okay, Chief.
Thanks for your cooperation, Mr. Walker.
Glad to be of help. Any help I can.
Hey, you. You, Dippy.
Hi, George. How are you?
Get going. We don't want no cheap dips grabbing a customer's wallet.
Not George. I ain't working tonight.
Out, you crumb, before I bust your hat.
Now, listen, George.
I don't mean to interrupt this party, but are you George?
Yeah, that's me. What are you after?
The man up front told me you'd take me to Mr. Trigo's office.
Yeah? Who are you?
I'm the district attorney. Would you show me to Mr. Trigo's office?
Yeah, follow me.
Who's there?
It's me, boss. DA's here. Wants to talk to you.
The DA. I'll be right there.
Oh, Mr. Garrett, this is a real occasion.
Well, hardly that. Can we talk inside?
Sure, why not? Okay, George, wait outside. What's on your mind, DA?
Some information. What can you tell me about Tom Carter?
Carter? What am I supposed to know about him?
You spent a lot of time around here the past week.
So what? Can't help who comes into my place.
I see. This picture. A very attractive girl.
Huh? Just one of the dolls who worked in the club a while back. Loretta Nelson bills herself as the blonde Venus. Why are you so interested in her?
Because Tom Carter knew of Venus, too. Where can I find her?
Oh, last I heard, she was staying at the Stanley Hotel. That's all I know.
In that case, that's all for now.
I hope you find it, D.A. Come on in, George. So long, D.A.
Goodbye.
Everything all right, boss? Yeah, sure. Everything's just Jim Dandy. You can come out of the closet now, Venus.
Harry, believe me. I didn't tell that reporter anything. I swear it.
I know. George.
Yeah.
Make it talk. Some truth.
Please, Harry, keep him away. You gotta believe me.
You heard the boss.
That'll be enough of that, George.
DA again, huh?
I didn't go very far, Trigo. You see, there was a strong smell of perfume in here, and my hunch was you had a hidden visitor. Now, young lady, she's gone.
Took off like a scared rabbit. I couldn't stop her.
I'll talk to you later.
Can I talk to you a minute, D.A.?
Oh, Dippy. Say, did you see a girl run out of here?
To Venus? Sure, she was in a big hurry. Grabbed a taxi and scrammed.
Thanks.
But D.A., I gotta tell you something.
Later, Dippy.
No. This can't wait. I found a wallet. I happened to find this wallet. See?
All right. So you found a wallet.
Honest, it's the truth. I found it. And there was this note in it. I didn't know what to do.
Well, let me see that. Your newspaper better lay off or the undertaker will lay you out. No signature, of course. What else, Dippy?
It was in his envelope. It wasn't even open. When I read it, I felt pretty bad. I figured the guy didn't even have a chance.
Give me the envelope. Addressed to Herbert Walker, city editor, Daily Clarion.
You gotta believe me, D.A. I found the wallet.
For your sake, I hope so, Dippy.
Well, Mr. Garrett, come in.
Sorry to disturb you at home, Mr. Walker.
That's perfectly all right. Oh, Mr. Harris is in the next room.
Good. I want to talk to him also.
We were working late at the office. Special edition on Tom's murder. I got a bit of a migraine headache, so Mr. Harris drove me home in my car. We figured we could finish up here.
Well, I hate to bother you, but this may be important. Ever seen this letter before?
Let's see. Yes, it was lying on my desk.
You didn't read it?
No, I got busy, stuck it in my wallet. Why?
Please read it now.
Of course. Your newspaper better lay off.
Hello, Mr. Garrett.
Good evening, Mr. Harris.
I didn't hear you come in. Say, Herb, what happened? You're so pale.
Just another touch of migraine, that's all.
He's always getting them. I've told you, Herb, you're working too hard.
And we've got more important things than my headache to worry about. Can we help you in any way, Mr. Garrett?
Well, it would be a big help if I could see the last stories Carter wrote on the crime expose. Would you have them?
Well, in this case, yes. They're on my desk at the office.
Well, I'd like to see them.
All right. I'll go down and get them.
Oh, that headache again?
Yeah. Come up rather sharp. This tragic business with Tom hasn't helped it any either.
Look, you just stay put, Herb. I'll take your car and get those stories for the district attorney.
Well, I can drive you down.
No, you stay with Herb. Make him relax. Well, Herb, give me the keys to your car.
Oh, yeah. Here they are. I'm sorry about this.
Just take it easy. I'll be right back.
How's the head, Mr. Walker? Anything I can get you?
It's easing up. Comes and goes.
I'm afraid these hoodlums mean business.
So do I, Mr. Garrett. That's why I carry this gun.
Well, that sounded like an explosion.
Explosion? Mr. Garrett, look out the window. The car.
Blown to bits. A bomb on the starter.
A bomb? Mr. Harris?
He didn't have a chance. Operator, this is the district attorney. Get me the police. Immediately.
For me. That bomb was meant for me. Now I've got 2 deaths to avenge.
This is David Bryan. Before we continue with Mr. District Attorney in the case of the dead reporter, here is an important message from our sponsor.
now back to David Bryan, starring as Paul Garrett, Mr. District Attorney.
It can be a very frightening thing to see the ruthless force of organized crime at work. As district attorney, it was my sworn duty to follow through on every lead, no matter how thin, to put a stop to the unleashed terror. I had to find the Mr. Big of the criminal gang and find him quickly. I assigned Harrington to do a must job of locating the whereabouts of Dippy, the pickpocket, who might have information I needed. And I desperately wanted to talk to the Venus. But she had moved away from her apartment without notice. This is the district attorney.
Mr. Garrett, I know where the Venus is.
Good. Great work.
A hairdresser she goes to gave me the information. The Venus moved in with a girlfriend. The Lido Arms Apartments on Sylvania Street.
Fine. I'll meet you there, in front of the apartment, Miss Miller. Wait for me there.
I'm on my way.
Here in a hurry, Mr. Garrett.
Time's not on our side in this case, Miss Miller. Which apartment is the Venus in?
I'm sure it's 126 on the ground floor.
Let's go.
She may not be here.
Oh, we'll hope for the best. No, this is it. 126.
It's open, dear. Come in. I'm on the phone. Be right with you. Oh, it's you, Mr. Garrett. Honey, I have visitors. I'll call you back.
Very neat, Venus. I'm sure the person you were talking to on the phone got the idea.
Huh? What idea?
He or she is now well aware that Miss Miller and I just entered your room.
Oh, it was nothing like that. I was just talking to a girlfriend, that's all.
If you say so. I have a compact here. It's engraved with the words, "To my Venus with love." It's yours, isn't it?
What? Well, yeah, it looks like mine. Where'd you find it?
Where did you lose it?
Well, you know how it is. A girl leaves these things in lots of places. You understand, don't you, Miss Miller?
Yes, I certainly know how compacts can be misplaced.
Ordinarily, yes. But it might be very awkward to explain how a compact came to be found in the wreckage of a bombed car in which a newspaper publisher was murdered.
What? You found my compact in a bombed car?
Exactly. How did it get there, Miss Nelson?
I don't know.
I think you know a lot more than you're telling. I want some answers. About Tom Carter.
Poor Tom. He was so nice, so friendly. I liked him very much. But I told him he was going to get in trouble.
And what about the name of the man behind the crime syndicate? Who is it?
I don't know, I tell you. Tom asked me to keep an eye on Trigo at the club. Trigo and I have been going together for almost a year.
I'm sorry, but I have to know. What happened to them?
I was sure Trigo was mixed up with this crime syndicate. One day I saw he had a letter. It was addressed to someone at the Daily Clarion. I told Tom.
Well?
Well, that's all. That's all I know. Please, no more questions. I'm so frightened.
Yeah, take it easy.
I'll answer that. Hello.
Chief, so you're still there, huh?
Seems that way, Harrington. What's up?
I finally located Dippy's hideout. You still want him?
Yes, but I think I'd better get over there and talk to him. Where's the place?
It's a shack down on Front Street, just off Terminal. Should I wait for you?
I'll meet you there, Harrington.
Any news?
Harrington's located Dippy. I'm going there.
Me too?
No, you stay with her. I'll check with you the first chance I get.
All right, Mr. Garrett.
See you soon.
There you are, Chief, right over there. That's the shack Dippy uses to hole up in.
There's no light inside. He might be asleep. The door's open.
What's that?
Sounds like a moan. Come on. You got your flash?
Yeah. It works, too.
Over there, behind the bed.
It's Dippy. Shot bad.
Dippy. Dippy, can you hear me? Who did it? Who shot you?
Didn't see no light. I heard a cough.
Dippy, you heard a cough?
Cough. To the dark.
That's that, Chief.
Poor Dippy. You got caught in somebody else's dirty game. All right, Harrington, let's go. I think we're very close to finishing up the job Tom Carter started. I want to get to Trigo's private office without being announced, Harrington.
How, Chief? The guy with the fishtails is already looking at us.
Talk to him. About anything. Table reservation, inspect the kitchen, anything. I'll slide around. You come on back to Trigo's office as soon as you can work it.
Shall do. Here I go.
Mr. Garrett, the district attorney.
What are you doing back here again?
You mind if I step inside?
What for? Trigo ain't here?
Then you and I will talk. Inside.
Look, D.A., you better go. I don't want no trouble.
It's too late for that. You've already got trouble. The kind of trouble that ends up in the electric chair.
Electric chair? What are you talking about? Who are you trying to scare?
Dippy's dead. Shot to death in the dark. But he lived long enough to point the finger right at you, George.
At me?
Come on, talk.
No, I ain't talking. This gun, it'll do the talking right now.
I almost got here too late, Chief.
Just in time, Harrington. Shut the door. Yeah. How is he?
He'll be all right. I aim for the shoulder.
Obviously, we're not going to get any information out of George for some time. Trigo's our man now.
Where is he?
Oh, that's a good question, Harrington. You better call the ambulance for George.
Right.
Oh, Mr. Garrett, I'm glad you're here.
Mr. Walker.
I've been looking all over for you. Here, take a look at this. It's Tom Carter's last story.
$1 million question. Who is the brains behind the unholy gang of mobsters trying to run our city? $1 million answer. Perhaps a certain nightclub operator would come up with it if he could be persuaded to give an interview at his cabin hideaway at North Cove on Lake Pinewood. Yes, this is something, Walker. Where did you get it?
I played a hunch. Practically tore Carter's desk apart. This was hidden under a drawer. I'm going to get that interview, Mr. Garrett. If I have to ram this gun of mine right down Trigo's throat.
Well, that won't be necessary, Mr. Walker. Put it away. Harrington, Walker and I will start out. You get hold of an officer to take charge of George and then meet us up at the edge of North Cove. We'll go to Trigo's cabin together.
Okay, Chief, but be sure to wait for me. Hey, that's a pretty fancy cabin Trigo's got.
The head man of the crime gang can afford 100 like that.
Hold up. The light just went out.
Why are we stopping?
Just taking it easy, Walker. This Trigo can be dangerous.
So can I with this gun.
Somebody's on the porch, Chief.
Watch out.
Don't shoot, Walker. I see the flash.
Walker, stop it.
Hey, Chief, you all right?
It's the Venus. Come on.
You killed him! You killed Harry! You murderers!
It's Trigo, all right. How is he, Harrington?
Pretty dead, Chief.
Well, Mr. Garrett, I lost my head. But I never dreamed at that range. I just shot in self-defense.
Sure, Mr. Walker.
You killed the one man I loved, my sweetheart. He's dead, and all we wanted was to get away together.
All right, Venus. You can turn it off now.
What? Haven't you got any heart?
Yes, and eyes, too. You shot Trigo yourself, Miss Nelson.
I shot him.
I saw the angle of the first flash. And Walker could never in the world have shot him from there.
But, Chief, Trigo was her sweetheart.
Oh, no, Harrington. Mr. Walker, he's her man.
Me? This is utterly ridiculous.
I was pretty certain when we found Miss Nelson's compact in your blown-up car. It had probably slipped behind the seat long before the bombing.
You're crazy. I led you up here to get Trigo.
A neat double cross. Miss Nelson waits here with Trigo. You bring me here with a phony story, supposedly from Carter. They're shooting in the dark while the Venus kills Trigo so we can have our patsy and set you up with a case of self-defense.
It's a lie. It's all lies.
Look, Garrett, you can't make that story stick.
I think I can, Mr. Big, of the crime syndicate.
You...
Grab his gun, Harrington.
It's Grant, Chief. So is Mr. Big.
You too, Venus. Just stay where you are.
Oh, I should never have listened to him. He said Trigo was just in the way. He'd be our fall guy. We'd have it all to ourselves.
Get up! The rats are leaving the ship, Chief.
Oh, no, Harrington. They've gone down with it. I just wish one thing.
What's that, Chief?
That Tom Carter were alive to write this story. This is David Bryan again. I hope you've enjoyed this case from the file of Mr. District Attorney. I'll be back in just a moment after this message from our sponsor.
Now, here's the star of Mr. District Attorney, David Bryan, with a word about the program you have just heard.
Every case of crime that comes to my office is important, but this one had special significance. Here was a vicious group of criminals masterminded by a man in a position of great influence. Herbert Walker, Mr. Big, planned to use a newspaper as a force for evil. Well, the people heard the truth about Walker, about the Venus, and about George. And, as always, the people made their decision and ended the career of these hoodlums. And now this is David Bryan inviting you to join us when we present our next case based on the facts of crime from the file of Mr. District Attorney.
Mr. District Attorney was originated by Phillips H. Lord.